Hey gamers, welcome to a brand new DSP video. We're going to be going through some of DSP's gaming news story segments on his little podcast because you know me, I just love his gamer news. I always tune in to his little podcast and listen to him recite gamer news because out of all the sources out there, DSP is just the best, obviously. Okay, let's get right into it. And we start off with the Tic Tac ban.
Passed a bill, and this bill is going to ban TikTok in the United States within 9 months if its company owner or its owner ByteDance does not divest the company. What does that mean?
What does that
mean? It means that basically
Explain
the U.S.
it.
government thinks that TikTok is gathering information on U.S. citizens and using it for malicious purposes because the owners are Chinese.
I've never heard any news story that covered this saying the U.S. government is banning this site because this app because they think they're doing malicious stuff because the owners are Chinese. I never heard the news story about TikTok being recited like that ever. It's really weird to me that he just casually says because they're Chinese. Like, huh? I think I don't know where the company is based. I think the company is based in China. I think so. That's the problem because the Chinese government, the Chinese government, and that's like the problem. Now, personally, I kind of don't think TikTok should be banned. I think you know what TikTok is, you know the risk, so you can make a decision to download it or not. I just think that this is going to lead to a slippery slope in the future that, today is TikTok, tomorrow it's something else, and all this kind of stuff, because people do use TikTok for many things. So I'm a little cautious about this bill because I'm just a little concerned about the ramifications or implications down the line. But that's just me. Now let's see what DSP has to say about it.
Essentially, they almost think that TikTok is a way to get intel on the American populace, and the American populace is too stupid to realize it.
Oh my god, I hate this guy so much. How he fucking recites this news so fucking much. He always has to have a negative spin. This dude just loves assuming the human species are stupid. It's so annoying. Like, dude, people get it. We get it. We make bad decisions in the past, whatever the fuck, etc., etc., etc. Sure. But my god, you're telling a news story. It's not endearing, it's just corny. And it's so fucking lame to sit through. And this is one of the biggest hurdles for DSPN. The biggest hurdle is sitting through this because you have to sit through so much fluff to get to the story. And not only that, you have to sit through like just rants or just like whatever the fuck. Like literally he's saying they're banning this because they think that the American people are stupid. Do we really need that part of the news story? They're banning TikTok because the company is Chinese and they're concerned that they're harvesting data on the client, on the user base overseas. That's all the story is. And all this stuff, but this dude has to just kind of bring up the assumption that someone may have, that they're assuming that we're all stupid and we don't know that. My guy, it's 2024. People use TikTok probably has a better idea what a social media app does than he does. Like, dude, every app you use, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, whatever the fuck, they do have your data and they sell it if they want, whatever. That's what agreeing to the terms of services half the time. You're agreeing that they can sell your data for marketing. I don't know the extent of that data, so don't ask me. But all this stuff has been going on with these platforms. That's why, like, lately, some phones, whatever, has given the ability to just say, do not give this app permission to access my photos. Do not give this app permission to do this or that. That's why they have permissions in the first place. And, we all dog on Apple, but Apple, to a degree, has steps to prevent apps from accessing stuff sometimes. So whatever the fuck. All this stuff is going on, and this dude is acting like no one knows that we're all ignorant to fucking social media, like we're all fucking boomers. And this dude is the boomers of them all. Every time there's new technology, new anything, he's like, so apparently there's like a stream deck that's like you push a button. I don't know. And this dude is telling us about fucking social media apps. And he's saying like, well, the American government thinks that we're too stupid to know this. That's not why they're banning it, dumbass. It's because they do it, and like, sure, the American people are downloading it. Maybe they don't care, whatever. But it's still like all these other like variables on this. Stupid. Like this dude is so stupid, and he's sitting there saying how professional he is. DSPN is a professional segment of him reciting gamer news. No, it's not. It's such garbage content. It is the worst. And I know people. Dog on Young, yeah, for his fucking videos about how he just reads news titles, whatever the fuck. I get it. I'm not gonna, like, white knight for him. I will just say, I would much rather listen to that than this. He at least reads the articles, supposedly. I've not seen a Young Yeah video. I hopped off the Young train during MGS5 hype time because he was putting a lot of, like, crazy theories. Like, I don't need to watch this. And that kind of got me annoyed, and I moved on. I thought he was done because I only knew him as an MGS guy, and then he's like, no, he's still doing videos. Like, huh? What? There you go. There's a little history on the youngster from me, obviously. But anyways, That's not why we're here. I'd much rather listen to that than this. This dude is so painful to listen to through gaming news. It is like both funny, just in the sense of how like ignorant he is on the fucking news he talks about, and annoying because of that same thing. It is like fascinating. The DSPN segments are fascinating on that alone. It's the worst segment and also the best.
So they're going to outlaw this program in the United States in 9 months unless the owner sells the company to a non-Chinese company. Okay? It's official because as of today, President Biden signed it into law. So 9-month timer has started. They have 9 months to sell it off. Do you think that will happen? Do you think
I think TikTok people said they're not going to sell it, so
just so the app can continue to work in the United States.
And there was like one maybe you could say the conspiracy theory or whatever, but one thing I read, and I kind of was thinking about it a little bit. Someone was saying like, well, this could just be a way for America to hope that TikTok will sell, that company will sell TikTok to them or whatever, so that they could get the revenue from TikTok pretty much, so that they could profit off it. And it is actually a good theory, because that does make sense, because there's a lot of money in TikTok, so they could just try to pressure them into selling it, or they're going to be banned from America. So that's an interesting theory. You think about that one?
I don't know. Right? I don't know.
Right?
Interesting premise. I don't know. There might be some big stories coming out about this. Maybe companies that'll vie for it, try to buy it, and will they sell it? I don't know.
They said they're not going to sell it, so there you go.
Why does TikTok need the United States? It's a good question. TikTok is worldwide. TikTok is an app that's
Why does America need the United States? His chat is really stupid. To just ask that. Like, sure, technically maybe they don't need him literally, but at the same time, it's just sidelining all the people in America that use TikTok and want to use TikTok. Just sidelining them, like, whatever. Okay.
Over the place. It's not just the United States. Now, I'm sure the United States is a big customer base for them, but do they really need the United States? I don't know. I don't really know the ins and outs of that. Okay? All right, we have 2 more news stories.
And, like, also, like, what company is gonna not want to be sold somewhere? Like, oh, you're gonna ban us? Okay. Like, whatever. Like, and I like how these people are acting as if America's a small country. Like, dude, like, it's a big population. Like, TikTok probably would want America to be part of their fucking business, obviously. Whatever, okay.
It's incredibly stupid, so I'm just going to get past it right now.
Alright, it's incredibly
so there's
stupid.
a game coming out on Friday called Stellar Blade. I'm not
Oh,
interested
boy.
in it. But the reason I'm talking about it today...
By the way,
is
these chapters are so funny. Like, look at these chapters. It's like the funniest thing. So it starts off TikTok ban, okay. Controversy, in-game graffiti. Oh wait, no, this is completely different. Because here, it actually, like... Never mind. Maybe I'm thinking of the other podcasts I have lined up.
Because
Never mind.
the stupidest thing ever has happened. Are you ready for this?
Are you ready for this?
I'm not ready for this.
I just love that this dude was yelling in his chat, stop talking about Stellar Blade, stop talking about it. And he has like he did 2 news segments on Stellar Blade. Oh man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stellar Blade has a store in the game, and it's called the, I think, R store. It's just called the letter R, and it says store under it. And it's the store where you buy items and stuff in the game.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Well, supposedly by random chance, and apparently this is not intentional, all right? Right next to the it's a neon sign that says R store. It has like a R.
So it's not intentional. I just want like you to remember that this is an unintentional thing that the game developers did in the game. Like this was, you know, not with any purpose or whatever. Like there's nothing serious about
pointing
this.
Down here's the store.
Whatever.
Well, right next to this neon sign that says R store, there's some graffiti on the wall.
Whoa.
All right. And what does the graffiti say?
What does the fox say?
Hard.
Wow, that took a lot of time.
It says hard.
Wow, look how long this is taking. So what does it say? Hard. Hard? Oh my god.
Store.
Okay.
So you might say, well, what's the problem with that? Well, in truth, there is no problem with that. Because in truth, it means nothing. Actually, that graffiti that says hard is used randomly throughout the game. It's not the only place in the game that it's in place, and it's probably not intentional, right? That it should have been there. Okay? Now, you might say, well, I don't even understand. What does hard R mean? Depends on who you ask. Okay?
Okay, so he's gonna talk about like how he knew about it, and I'm gonna be a little bit fair. I never heard of it being used in ratings. Like he brings up the movie rating, like oh, it's hard R, it's like movie rating. I never heard it be used that way. I've always only heard it be in reference to the N-word, like for years, whatever. Like even before I was even on Twitter, by the way. But then I was watching some Ordinary Gamer video about this, and he also brings up the movie rating. So I guess at one point in time, they actually did say hard R for rating, but I mostly heard for the N-word. So I guess it's like, okay, you know, both things. But see, now get this, right? I learned something about it. I'm like, oh, okay. Now, DSP learned that hard R can also have a racial connotation, and he immediately just, like, says it's stupid and not real. Which is, like, not true. It is real. It's very real.
The actual original meaning of the term hard R, do you know what it means? It means it's a hard R rating for a movie.
But let's say that that's where it began, right? And then it got adapted to be about the N-word or whatever, right? Like, this dude doesn't understand culture. Like, and you know what? This dude, oh my god, man. This dude goes on and on about how culture changes, culture shifts, the pendulum of a grandfather clock, whatever the fuck, right? Correct? And this dude is like, when he sees it happen in real time, he doesn't get it. It just doesn't compute in his little baby brain that, oh, maybe culture changed from when it was the hard R thing to this. Maybe the culture shifted. No, that couldn't possibly be it. Obviously.
What does that mean? It means a movie that has intense gore or sexual content, meaning it's pushing the highest level of rating, NC-17. Okay? But it just majorly made the cut to make it a hard R, meaning it's one of the harshest R ratings you can get, but it still made the cut to fit into the R category. Okay?
Okay.
That's actually what it means.
But again, like, words
But
change. I
in the
mean,
last few
the
years,
F word was oh my god, meant originally a bundle of sticks and all this stuff. But then it got like adapted or whatever to be a derogatory term. Things just happen. And you can sit there and say it's unfair because, you know, for X, Y, and Z reasons, but that's just how life is. And it is what it is, man.
people on social media have decided to change the meaning.
Again, he thinks this is social media. I don't remember when I first heard about the hard R being a racial term, but all I know is I definitely heard it before I was even on Twitter. And I was on Twitter like, what, in 2009? Or 2010? I don't know. I think I was in college when I opened my first Twitter account. And then I didn't use it because I thought I was like, I don't get this site, whatever. And then I used it in 2013 or 2014 or whatever. And then and all that shit. But hard R I've heard being a racial term before. And it's not like the word itself is. I mean, it's a whole thing. I mean, come on.
Okay? Compare this to any other use of a word that in the past had a completely different meaning and then got changed because of social things.
Social things. And you know the other thing is he keeps blaming social media. Like he thinks that like the blue hairs and all this stuff do all this shit, but half the time the thing that happens in social situations, both online and offline, is that you have another understanding of how people react to things and the meaning of words and the impact and all this stuff. Like words have meaning. That's how language works. I mean, come on. And people can find hard R offensive. Sure, you know, it relates to the N word. What do you think? What do you think people are gonna take from that? Come on.
Now everyone uses the word completely differently. All right? So, I mean, everyone, I think you probably know today the term hard R essentially means the N word. Okay? The real N word, not the slang version that's used, you know, as like a term of affinity between people, but the really bad N word, the full one. Okay? So that's why, hence, hard R. That's what they're talking about, the end of the word.
Man, okay.
So, to have a video game that says hard R on the wall, you would think, oh, not a big deal. Except, as we all know, games media are incredibly liberal.
Oh my god.
And they saw this on the wall and immediately made a big...
This is what was so dumb about this news story as it went on. Because initially it's like, if you wanted to be patched out, okay, and they patched it out. Okay, like, who cares? Like, that's not the end of, like, you know, it's getting a little ahead, I guess, because we're gonna talk about the other censorship thing that happened to Stellar Blade in the next podcast, but the censorship with this, I don't think anyone should be upset with it, honestly. Like, because one, it wasn't intentional, and people were saying, hey, this is like, you know, related to the N-word, you know, whatever. And they're like, oh, okay, you know, that is fucked up, and we didn't intend for that to happen. Okay, we'll fix it. And they fixed it. Okay, they fixed it. And that's it. But then when they did that, everyone started complaining. I can't believe they caved in. They got rid of the hard art. Like, the hard art store is like the most like trivial thing. Like, let it just be removed. Who cares? Like, this is not a meaningful thing. Like, there's other, like, meanwhile, the other one has a more meaningful or significance to what was being removed compared to this. Like, this, like, the hard art store is the type of like, censorship or patching that I don't think anyone should care about being removed. You know, like, it's like, you know, sure, you could say the same, well, then they shouldn't care that it's there. Okay, but you know, like, they could also remove it. Who cares? I mean, this is like, so what about that? That's how I feel about that. Like, if people find that offensive and they want to get rid of it and they got rid of it, okay, so be it. The other thing though is like, affects costumes completely. Like, that's the kind of thing. Like, this is affecting an actual product that you actively see and you actively use. Like, what meaning does hard R store really have? Nothing, man. But okay.
Deal about it and started complaining to Sony, why does your game have a hard R on the wall? Don't you know how offensive that is? To which the game developers were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, no, we have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry, we don't just sit on Twitter all day listening to the ways that
Oh
you've
my
changed what
god.
terms.
Dude, this is so fucking stupid though. He thinks everything like that. He thinks that's how life works. People just come up with new rules on Twitter. Oh my god. This dude, and he always brags. He always brags how I'm so much more tolerant and understanding of other people now, man, and all this stuff. I thought I heard something. Whatever. And this dude is sitting there talking as if like he doesn't understand it. Like, dude, you can these all these people who said the hard R store is offensive probably explained why. And you know, look, if DSP doesn't agree with that, I mean, I don't know what to tell him. I can tell him how to think, whatever. But other people are gonna look at it and say, oh yeah, you know, he has a point. Yeah, you know, and we didn't intend this, and you know, this is kind of fucked up. Okay, I mean, this is the same guy who re-uploaded videos and he censored them. He censored his own playthrough on DSPL Throwback. It was some Final Fantasy 13 part. He completely censored it. And this dude is sitting there like, I can't believe they censored this. But this dude censored his own content. This dude is so fucking lame. He has no principles. Like, come on.
Mean in the last 5 years to be offended by something like this. It's not even intentional. It's graffiti next to
and if that's the case, if that's Sony's reaction, then why did they change it anyway? This is so dumb. This is so stupid.
neon sign. They don't even coincide. What the fuck are you talking about? But sadly, in our modern day, everyone has to pander to everyone. So apparently,
what pandering is this? Dude, this is an offensive term. Okay, we'll change it. Okay. Like, dude, who fucking cares? Like, so what? They changed it. This is like a nothing change. Like, to act as if they changed a significant scene in a fucking video game with this it's kind of laughable. Like, he's acting as if the game was like they removed the ending because of this. Like, no. If there was no news story talking about this and they changed it anyway, no one would talk about it. I guarantee it.
To understand, it's being changed. I don't know if it has been changed already, but I believe that it's being changed like right away. God forbid someone's offended that this is randomly in the game by chance. It's not even meant
I hate how this guy keeps mocking people who gets offended by stuff. As this guy gets offended all the time by May 1st the Burst, gout jokes, snorting, burps, whatever the fuck. If you make fun of any of that, he gets offended by it. And then this dude has the gall to tell you, oh, I understand why my old content was so offensive. Oh, I get it, man. I grew up and now I'm less offensive. But yet every time someone says, hey, man, that's a little bit offensive, you know, like, you know, he gets so offended. He gets offended by people telling him that he's offended, they're offended by him. Like, think about that. This dude gets offended by other people telling him what he does is offensive. And then in this case, he is offended by other people being offended by the hard R store. Dude, like, at some point, you have to at least kind of empathize about these people who are saying this stuff may be offensive. Like, this dude always says how he empathizes with people, but I've never seen it. I never see him empathize unless he can benefit from it. Or whatever. It's very opportunistic. This dude is so fucking lame.
Anything. And the term doesn't actually even fucking mean that. People invented this
dude is out of touch. He might as well go on a rant about how the F word is a bundle of sticks every day. He should just do that. Why doesn't he fight for the right to say the F word? He should have a pre-stream segment every day until everyone agrees the F word is okay to say. He should just do it. You know, he should just do it. You know, he should do it on Twitter. He should do it on YouTube. He should do it everywhere he goes. Just say, let's make this word mean bundle of sticks again and get rid of the derogatory term. He should just argue that. But no, of course not. This dude is so lame. He's so lame.
For it. All right. So, yes, I think it's incredibly stupid and it's a non-issue, but that's the world we live in today. That everyone has to
That's
get
the
all
world we
upset
live in
about things
today.
that literally don't even fucking exist. Invented outrage for the sake of invented outrage. Everyone has to pussyfoot around everything, correct?
Correct. Yeah, so why did he get banned from the Twitch partner program again? The
Okay.
Okay. And also
People are saying
I just love this dude is like, oh, we have to paint our separatists. Okay, so why can't he do anything, right? Every time he talks about how he can't make sex jokes anymore or whatever the fuck. Oh, if I can't do this because everyone's such a bitch today. Oh, blah 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 blah. Like this dude is so. Every time there's any social issue, he is so painful to listen to because he doesn't care. He doesn't even care, and when he does, it's only when he doesn't. It doesn't affect him. If let's say Hogwarts Legacy was a mobile game, that he would never play. Well, I don't know. He might play it actually. I'm gonna bring up the Blizzard boycott, the Activision boycott, because that came out during a year where DSP had no interest to play any of their games. No interest. He was bragging how it was gonna be the first year he was skipping Call of Duty because he hated the beta. And he decides I'm gonna jump in on the boycott. Yeah, man. The fucking Blizzard boycott. Yeah, I'm joining that shit. Yeah, fuck Activision. But he wasn't gonna buy the game anyway. So he doesn't truly care, because if he did care about that, then shouldn't he have also boycotted Red Dead Redemption 2? Like, this dude has no nuance to anything he says. The only nuance he has is when he has to buy a Nintendo console. But it's like he factually doesn't need to. He literally does not need to buy the Switch 2 or whatever the fuck the next Nintendo console is, because how many Nintendo games does he play? And he's gonna buy the next Nintendo console anyway. See how dumb this guy is? Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, it's one thing. If you're just gonna be like, oh man, I kinda don't really agree with Nintendo's like things, but man, I travel a lot. I do want the Switch OLED because I like the OLED screen. I like the size of the screen. So I do kind of want to buy this OLED screen, and it's kind of dumb, but I just want that one upgrade because it's good for me, even though it's not that powerful. But that sucks. It's one thing to do shit like that, and another, yeah, fuck Nintendo, okay? Fuck them. Okay, I'm buying this console, it's gonna be great, I'm gonna play it all the time. Oh, I'm gonna skip all the Nintendo games.
That now they've changed the word hard and they replaced it with a new graffiti that says crime. So now it says crime R store. What?
What?
So now people are freaking out.
So get over this. He says, so like, the art and I are not even the same thing. It's like a graffiti and a neon light. So it's not any different. Crime art store? I don't know, man. It sounds like it succeeded then, because it makes it not a relevant connection, correct?
That's even worse.
Oh, why is it worse?
Because now you replaced hard R with crime. And that means something.
What?
Here's what they should replace it with.
I mean, honestly, okay, this is gonna be whatever segment for you guys, but in my opinion, I just think one of the shortcomings of Stellar Blade, I think, is just that it has a very I don't want to say lackluster or whatever, but it has a very weak environment design. It's not awful by any means. Don't get me wrong. I like the dilapidated cities and all that shit, but there is something that just seems like they were just kind of like just reusing assets in a very quick way, and just no thought in some cases. Like they had a grander vision of like what the world is, but on the smaller scale, when you're like in a certain area, it's like not very strong, like, and the graffiti shows that to me, because like a lot of people, I think, try to put a little more effort in what graffiti is. Like, what would someone do if they're doing graffiti or something? They might put a little bit more thought. Just doing word graffiti like crime or whatever, it's just not like, it's very like lazy, I guess. And that may be a little too harsh, but like it's like they could, maybe put a little bit more thought into what the graffiti could be. Like maybe just put a face, put a skull. I don't know. I mean, a skull could also be lazy too, I guess. But I mean, just think about what they were trying to do with this world, and they could have done something with that. I wish I could think of an example that exemplifies what I'm talking about. I mean, I guess I guess a good example is Devil May Cry 5. When you're playing as V, there are certain areas where they have graffiti, and when you see the graffiti, it's like supposed to indicate you can some nightmare to break a wall, and then the graffitis are very elaborate and very cool looking. So I mean, they could just do something like that. Having a graffiti that's like crime or whatever, it's like a dude having a tattoo of kanji that says water on it. Like it's just that kind of thing. And I know I read some Twitter posts from artists that talk about this way better than I am, but I kind of agreed with what I read, but this was years ago when I read it, so I can't pull it up if I wanted to, unfortunately.
I'm serious. They should patch it again, and you know what it should say? Fuck you. That's what it should say. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Just do it like 10 times. Fuck you on the wall.
Oh my god,
That's
wow,
what I
so
would do.
funny.
If I were the game devs, I'd be like, now you can't misconstrue it. Here's what we really meant to say.
But then they could be okay, so it kind of made it worse the way he would do it, because he's kind of saying that you can't misconstrue. This is what we really mean. So they really meant to be racist. They did that then, correct? Because think about it. If they're saying hard, if he's alluding to hard R meaning nothing, and it's like a trivial thing to be outraged about, he wants them to change it to say "fuck you," and for them to say that's what they meant. Oh man, we got a little too carried away with this joke again, guys.
All right, we have
okay.
one more story today. I told you I had a lot of news to cover today, and then we can finally get to things like shout outs and the like. Okay.
All right. Sound good?
All right.
No,
Our final news story of the day.
Laugh. Oh, this is
apparently there has always been a loophole in the way that Steam
oh man
works with its refund system. Well, excuse me. Bad news.
Look how excited he is about this too. He's so excited, and this is a guy that I don't want to say swindled, but he kind of cheesed the Sony refund for Cyberpunk. Like he literally played it, beat it, and then got his refund, which no company Steam doesn't even do that, doesn't allow that or whatever, correct? Because they were like, oh, after 2 hours you can't return it, whatever. But he beat the game and then got a refund for it. So this guy, he's gonna go into whatever this is, and I don't care how he thinks about it. He's no better. He's a cheeser himself. I guarantee if he starts playing Steam games and all this stuff and does the refund stuff like everyone else, Steam will get rid of the refund policy. This is the guy that ruins all the good things. All these pro-consumer things that we all took for granted in the past that are now gone or dying is for people like him, because he ruins them everywhere. Before YouTube clamped down on copyright ID, whatever the fuck, people like him ruined it, I bet, man.
For all of you who've been taking advantage of this loophole, the loophole is about to get plugged.
He's so proud of this joke. Wow, guys, are you laughing?
All right, so there's your hole, and there's the plug.
Okay, man, he really likes.
So what is this loophole? I'm going to read you the story from The Verge.
All right.
8 years ago, Valve began offering no questions asked refunds for any game that you buy on Steam. As long as you ask for that refund within 14 days of your original purchase, and you haven't played the game for more than 2 hours. Okay? Now, that's not the whole. That's the intended refund policy.
Okay.
But
why can't we just
Valve
go to the
started
hole?
letting you play games ahead of their intended release dates with early access and advanced access programs, it introduced a loophole. People could play for many, many hours
I hate how this dude fucking reads. He reads it like we're fucking babies being told a bedtime story. Like, dude, shut up.
And still request a refund after. Okay?
Okay.
So what does that mean?
What does that mean? What does after mean?
It basically means that it would only work properly for games that were fully released. If a game hadn't been released yet, you could play it infinitely because the game didn't count playtime hours until the game was fully released. That's kind of confusing to me. Like, as long as you're playing the game, why would you think it doesn't count as playtime hours? But I guess
Okay.
that's how they had set up Steam.
Okay.
So there were people who would actually go out and buy early access games just because they knew that they could get the refund. So they would play any game in early access.
They kind of do it with any game. Honestly, actually, factually, they do that with any game. Because I've heard so many people like, "Oh, Steam is great. Just buy a game and then I just refund if it doesn't like." That's what Charles did with I want to say River City Girls 2, or River City Girls. I think he played it for 2 hours or about 2 hours and was like, "Yeah, not for me." And he returned it because he likes that system, man, and it's a good system.
As long as
It's wild that no one wants to copy it, but then again, it's a pro consumer move.
and then they would just refund the game right away.
Okay. Okay. So what are they doing?
And they would play infinitely. They wouldn't just play 2 hours. They would play it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then they would refund. Well, guess what, folks? The days in Milk of Honey are over. Because officially, I guess Valve figured this out. And they have plugged the hole. Right?
Okay.
Here's the hole.
So what did they do? Like, you love this, right? He tells you the hole. Oh, it doesn't count playtime hours. Okay, so what do? They plug the hole, man. What does that mean? What did they do? This dude loves this joke of plugging holes because he probably thinks of it as shoving a dick up his ass.
Their fist, plugged it. Just like that.
So what did they do?
So now you can no longer get a refund for any game you've played longer than 2 hours, even if it's in early access. There's no loophole anymore.
Finally,
2 hours is the limit.
We got it.
And there you go. Plugged.
Okay.
Ugh. All right.
Man.
Well,
he literally only did that story to make that joke. Literally, that was the only reason. So now we get to the next gamer news story. Decision to skip Stellar Blade. This is the one. This is the one with the funniest fucking chapters, man. We have an individual chapter to talk about his decision to skip it. He also talks about Alien Rogue Incursion. I'm not talking about that. Because, it's, you know what DSP's gonna say. It's VR! Oh, it's stupid! But then he also wants VR to have games to sell the VR, but then they make a game for VR. Why is it VR? Oh, man.
Time to talk about Stellar Blade. Now, the entire discourse around Stellar Blade here on this channel in the last several months is very simple.
Very simple.
Looks good, meaning gameplay elements sound good, right?
Right.
The combat, the bosses, how you play it, all seems interesting. The problem is the head of this game development team, the guy infamously known.
I did a video talking about this, and I'm gonna like just say I was. Well, no, I wasn't scared. I don't want to say that. I was very curious how people were gonna receive it because I was like wondering, like, oh, are they gonna like get mad or whatever? And I'm actually surprised with the reaction. It's been pretty positive, so I'm proud. I'm proud that people understood what I was getting at with that video. But anyways. Oh, now I forgot my fucking point. God damn it. This fucking video, man. Maybe I'll remember it if I listen to it a little bit more.
We're doing over-the-top sexualized...
Oh, yeah, okay, now I remember. Because in that video, I did a little research because I wanted to make sure I knew what the director was talking about, or the developer, or whatever. Because I didn't want to go off, like, what I vaguely remember, like, from the Meerkat stream and all this other stuff. So I was like, I want to get something that's a little bit more direct about this developer, about why they made this character. And I found an article. I googled it. I used Google.cam, and that's where I was kind of skim reading the interview, and I only want to highlight the parts that I liked in it. One being like he found it more interesting to make a more idealized like figure and all this. Like, he wasn't interested in making something that's average or whatever, which is actually like part of art. You can make the decision. I want to make a character that looks average. I want to make a character that looks like this or that. That's always in the wheelhouse for a game. That's why like I think in that video I even brought up like Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, look, if they want to make a character that looks like if they want to make Aloy look like that, they should have the freedom to do that, which they did, and they made that. So, and I thought the character looks fine, whatever. That kind of stuff. People can have these decisions like. That is fine. So that's what the guy was getting at, and that's why he made the model the way that it did, which is far more like interesting to look at than how DSP talks about it, where it's like, he made it because he wants to jack off. Yeah, he's a horn dog. And it's like, you read it, and then you look into it, and like, I'm sure you can argue, well, he only wants this because of this and that, and like, okay, but you can say that about almost anything. It's to the point, like, the objectification of women in video games or media or anything, I think it's only harmful if it's like not done in a way that I don't know, like, it should be in the character's agency, you know, like the character should want to, you know, look this way or whatever the fuck. I mean, Eve is an android, whatever, and you can also give her different costumes. So that to me is why I don't really find it to be an objectifying game character. You may not like the character model, and that's, you know, a whole different thing completely, but something like that. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, you know, like shallow designs, I guess. Shallowness with the character, and that it has nothing interesting about it. Though I can find interesting stuff to say about Eve, so like, I just started the game, so I'm not really that far into it. So I don't know fully how the character's gonna end when I end the game, but we'll see. We'll see where I go from where I'm at. But that's like how I look at a lot of stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, like, you know, good shit. You know what I mean?
Characters in his games, that's what he's known for. Like, that's his thing.
That's
his
man.
shit. And because of that, people seek out his kind of games who like that kind of stuff. Now listen, I've played Tomb Raider, I've played Bayonetta, I've played Nier Automata. I've played games with sexualized characters before.
I hate when he lists these games and it's like, oh, I played games with sexualized characters before, and it's like, it's a very reductive argument. And I think that's like the problem, because he's kind of taking these games that have like a lot more going on with them and then just stripping them to just saying sexualized content, which is like very reductive for a guy who keeps insisting video games are art. He just reduces them to that. And it's like, you know, he brings up how the social media people say all this dumb shit, blah, 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 but this dude says dumber shit. Like, you could have a better argument with anyone on Twitter at this point about anything than DSP. Honestly, I know people are going to say, well, Twitter's full of dumbasses and all this stuff. And I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. But I can tell you, you could probably find if you search hard enough, you'll find decent people to talk to. You'll never find it from DSP. You just won't. You factually won't.
It's really not that big of a deal. But in this case,
it's not that big of a deal. What? It's not that big of a deal, but I skipped a game because of it.
With this game being hyper focused on the sexuality of the main character. Oh, she's based on a model, and look at all the jiggles.
Dude, they're just describing how they made the game. Like, Kojima did that with MGS4 when that was in development. They were like, oh, so like the B&B unit, can you talk about us? About these characters? Yeah, I wanted to, and he said something like he wanted to use models this time around, and which they are, so there you go. And like, I feel like that part of MGS4 probably didn't age very well, especially like after you beat the boss, you have this very weird segment with them that is just like weird, and people just say, oh, it's just Kojima being Kojima, but you know what I mean? Come on. You gotta look at a lot of stuff, and it just doesn't age very well.
Physics we put into the game and all that absolutely ridiculous stuff.
Ridiculous.
And also knowing my audience, all right?
I hate it now. This is the other part I fucking hated. This is kind of what made me want to do this video, by the way. This dude, I just want people to sit to let this sink in. When people are like, wow, do you have an audience of kids? Or whatever the fuck, he said, no, I like my demographics, and it's like people in their 20s, people in their 40s, all this stuff. Like, you know, young adults to middle age. And he's telling us to our face that his audience is immature around women, which I have to say it's ironic because he has Derek in his fucking community, by the way. I guess that's who he's talking about, right? But the other thing is, I kind of feel if you have to say that about your fucking community, you have a fucked up community. I'm going to be a little toxic here, but I kind of find it a problem if you have an audience that just can't, like, behave in a way. I don't know how to say. I mean, I don't know how to describe it, you know, like, because I'm not necessarily shaming people who are just like, you know, oh man, biking's hot, you know, whatever. Oh, Jacko, the Jacko pose, baby, like that kind of shit. I'm not dogging on that kind of like shit posting. It's just like the way DSP talks about it. It's really like a problematic thing where he makes it. I guess what it is, he makes it sound like his chat doesn't respect women. That's what it sounds like to me. And hearing that, it's like he said a lot. He said it a lot to the point where it started to come off that way. Because man, this dude thinks that this playing a game is gonna just cause this. It says something to me, in my opinion.
I know exactly how you guys are or tend to be.
I know how you guys are and tend to be. What the fuck are you talking about? Is he talking to Derek? Dude, Derek was on vacation, I think, at this time. Derek's not listening. Come on.
I'm playing
like, you know what's funny? He doesn't do this when Derek's around. He only does it in arbitrary ways. Come on, say it in front of Derek's face, coward.
Fighting game. And you guys are making sexual comments about the characters in the fight.
But then he brings this up about, oh my god. This is great. If this could fit as a thumbnail, this would be the thumbnail. Anyways, oh my god. He says about Street Fighter that, people get like aroused by Cammy or whatever the fuck and all this stuff. Okay, so then drop Street Fighter 6. We skipped an entire game because of how they would react around Eve, but in Street Fighter, we still play it when they act the same way anyway, so why does it matter? You know, and it just seems like this guy just doesn't want to because he's afraid to look at a woman with jiggle physics. And honestly, like, I've been playing this game, I don't really fucking notice. And I think like it's a lot of people that are falling for this fucking these Twitter clips. It's just like, you know, I feel that's a waste of energy a little bit. Like there was a video of a guy like just watching her going up and down like a rope, and then it did a joke where it's like him just doing that for like hours because like she was making like sexual moans going up and down, and someone's like, "Oh, I can't believe," it's like, dude, this is like a dumb bit. Like just move on. Just move on. It's like the same shit about the ladder, and it's like these are like random posts that are like just made that, which I think is what I mean when I said in the last video that it kind of feels some of the outrage about the sexualization in that game to a degree feels manufactured in a lab. Like it just feels like that someone not related to the game company. I mean, though pessimistically or cynically, I could think that, but it could just be just trolls. It's like, oh, we're gonna start shit and do this and then see where it goes. You know, just a dude that wants to see if people are gonna boohoo or yeehaw.
Game. I'll be playing an RPG like Baldur's Gate 3, and people can't keep their mouths shut. So I know what would happen if I played a game like,
and this dude is so lame. Like, dude, it's a fucking video game. Like, there is always like a limit before you go into Coomer land. Like, it's one thing to be like, oh man, like, you know, Banna's pretty hot. Oh, Biken's hot. Jacko's hot. Oh man, Biken, the Biken Jacko ship, great ship. You know. Yeah, I'm a little biased because I ship them, dude. Wow. And then it's another to be like, oh man, I got a fap to fucking biking baby, and mean that unironically.
Stellar Blade. Although the gameplay may be interesting, which I'll be honest, it'll probably to me appeal just as much as the gameplay of Devil May Cry or Nier Automata, which is kind of like, meh, it's okay.
Yeah, because he sucks at these games. Watch him play any of the Devil May Cries. I think he played 1 or 3, whichever one he played. All he did was use gun. I'm sorry, if you're telling me that that's all he did in a Devil May Cry game, your opinion on that genre is it carries as much weight as fucking shit as DSP would say, right? Correct? Because my god, dude, Devil May Cry is such a cool, and I'm not good either. I'm not gonna say there and say, oh, I'm a fucking triple S ranked player, but I actually like enjoy switching through weapons, going to double trigger, doing all this other nonsense with the game, and that's just fun in of itself. But DSP just couldn't even handle it, and he sucks at it. Like, this dude was awful, and he's like, oh, it's yeah, because he didn't fucking get it. He didn't get the gameplay. and he just did not understand it at all. It was so annoying to watch him play it.
Not in love with that kind of action-paced game like that. I never have been. I wasn't a fan of the Devil May Cry series until you guys convinced me to start playing them, and still to this day, they're kind of meh. They're all right. They're not great in my opinion.
Why are they not great? Why are they not great? And this dude is all about variety. Oh, you can do all this different stuff, but this dude did not like do weapon switching on the fly like you can in the modern Devil May Cry games. Like, don't I'm gonna say this is a somewhat hot take, but Devil May Cry 4. Devil May Cry 4 is not my favorite game. It has issues, so don't think I'm praising the game a lot here. But I do like some of the weapons in that game, like I think they call it the Lucifer one, the one with like the flowers and you do all that crazy shit. I used to not like that weapon when I first played it because I didn't understand it and I didn't care for it. I played it in the special edition again, and it's like, man, this weapon's really fucking fun. And I love using that, then switching to the Rebellion, then switching to the Gauntlets, and then going back to that. It's like doing these switches are on the fly is a lot of fun. But DC probably doesn't even know what this is. He doesn't understand. He doesn't get it. And he didn't play the Virgil DLC, which was a lot of fun. Virgil Devil May Cry 5, to a degree, breaks the game. Fun character, but this guy, I don't understand it. I'm a baby brain. I don't understand how to use a sword.
Same thing with Bayonetta. Like Bayonetta 1 I thought was all right or decent.
He probably thinks low because he got stuck in the beginning where he didn't know he could jump. You know what I mean? Like that part. Oh man, I feel to a degree he has some spite towards Bayonetta for making him look that stupid. Like that is like the perfect fucking scene to summarize DSP's problem solving skills.
Bayonetta 2 I actually did not like, and
he loved the game. He loved the game. I hate this revisionist history that this dude does with Catherine and Bayonetta 2. Bayonetta 2 and, well, man, I go between it because Catherine made it to his top 10 games or whatever. So it's really fucking frustrating to hear him shit on that game when he put it up there. But he also said he pretended to like it because it was anime, but it's so fucking frustrating. But Bayonetta 2, he was like, the one criticism he had in the review was that it was on the Wii U and not on any other platform. And he didn't like it? Dude, go away. Go away. Just shut up.
Skipped Bayonetta 3. I didn't even care about it.
He didn't care about, oh my god, because, there's so much time in between the two games, so why would anyone care? And then he was also, this was around the closet time where he was too afraid of women at the time. That's where it began. But it's like, my god, man, like, just, why are you so weird? And then, like, man, I was rewatching Ann Leeds' catch-up stream, and, these were like, people say I'm such a bad guy, and then when I don't do the sexual content, they still say I'm a bad guy because I'm not doing this, huh? It's like, that has nothing to do with the quality of your character. Like, oh my god, man.
So, this style of game, to me, it's not even that appealing when it comes to the gameplay element, right? But now the fact...
The thing is... Okay, you know what? Okay, Phil, I'm gonna be fucking mean to you. You piece of shit. You motherfucker. If you didn't like the gameplay of Stellar Blade, correct? Then, how come? Why don't you just say you're skipping it because you're not interested in the genre? And if you're saying, well, you might like it, give it a try, whatever the fuck, just say, sorry, I'm not interested in the genre, and move on, and then just don't answer the question ever again. Or don't address it, whatever. He ignores such weird things, but when it comes to questions that's annoying him, that he already answered, he always answers in some way. Be it saying, oh, I already answered that, fuck off. Or whatever. Like, yeah, he does it in a very negative way, but why not just say you're not interested? But instead you have this weird air about Stellar Blade that's just going to make people want to troll him by bringing it up.
Combined with the gameplay, I'm going to have to deal with people being completely immature for the entire time that I'm playing this game. I just didn't want to deal with it. So I decided to skip it. And quite honestly, I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think that it's affected me in any real negative way.
I think it did. The fact that we have Stellar Blade segments and this is how you talk about it, it's affecting us negatively. Because my god, dude, like, really? You're gonna say it's because your audience of mature adults, they can't handle, like, that's a problem, dude. If that's the case, and that's how you truly feel that they can't handle themselves around women, that's not a good outlook to have on your community, buddy.
Everything going on with Fallout right now, it seems pretty
Oh
fine.
man.
So why the hell am I bringing this up right now? Because there's a huge controversy right now around the game. Are you ready? So just a few days ago, there was a big press release. Stellar Blade will be launching worldwide uncensored. No matter what region you're in, no matter where you're living, Stellar Blade will be uncensored and the same in every region. Now, this actually is very rare when this happens, because typically games that have worldwide releases end up having to have censorship and things in certain countries. Typically, usually it's China or other
Saudi Arabia.
particular countries that are sensitive about certain kinds of content will demand censorship in certain parts of games, and then the game devs has to scurry to do that so that the game can be released in that territory. So usually a worldwide release is not identical, okay? Notably, a game like this that is high gore and high over-sexualization of the character, you would think there'd be countries that are more conservative known countries that were going to complain. Well, no, they stuck to their guns and said, that's it, worldwide release will all be exactly the same, okay? So the game came out yesterday.
Okay.
And guess what happened? So everyone has the game, right? Now, if you have a disc, you put it in your PlayStation 5. Keep in mind, this is Sony exclusive. The Sony exclusive game. All right? That's the partnership deal that the game dev, what are they, Something Up? I can't remember the name of the studio. Something Up, they're called.
Dude, he's doing a fucking news segment, couldn't be bothered to know the company name. And this dude also mocks everyone else. Like, if this was any other YouTuber, let's say Keemstar, because DSP loves Keemstar so much, right? Correct? Let's say Keemstar did the same thing. Oh, so we're gonna talk about Stellar Blade on the Keemland. And you know what? Like, so what's the name of the game developer? Something Up. I don't know, but, you know, whatever. These was so get this, guys, okay? So Keem, right? Keem, he does a gaming news segment, and he doesn't even know the game developer name, and that's supposed to be professional news. But no, since DSP does, he's only human, dude.
But yeah, like they did this exclusivity deal with Sony, right? So that they would basically only be on a Sony console. That's it. Shift Up. Thank you. It's called Shift Up is the name of the company that designed it. So everyone, gets the game. First of all, if you have a disc, you put it in. Oh, day one patch. You have to have the day one patch. If you just download it digitally, well, it already comes with the day one patch, right?
No.
People start to play it and immediately they're noticing something. They're like, it seems like there's way less gore than what we saw in all the trailers.
Oh my god, look at, so people loaded it, and then they realized, why not just say, okay guys, so Stellar Blade was released, and they released a day one patch. No, we have to do story time, because DSP thinks we're babies, and we just can't handle the news, so we have to be told it in a children's book style. Oh my god.
And then they started looking at certain outfits in the game. Now keep in mind, the outfits are ridiculously sexualized.
Not all of them.
Wait a minute. That doesn't
Dude, not all of the costumes are that sexualized. There was one with her in a checkered sweater or whatever the fuck, which I kind of want. I'm trying to get that costume. It's a cool one. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
So this looks slightly different. And some people actually did a test. So they took the game disc and put it in a PS5 and didn't do the update. They just played the game off the disc, which somehow works, which is weird because most games don't, but this one does. What? And they noticed something.
No.
This is day.
Dude, this dude is an idiot. Listen to this.
And didn't do the update. They just played the game off the disc, which somehow works, which is...
Somehow it works. This dude didn't know that you could play games without applying the patch. The only thing that gets knocked off when you're playing a game without the patch would be online features. That's why, let's say Stellar Blade had an online multiplayer component that you need to play, or you like so much that you always play it, and they do this patch, this would be a problem, because you wouldn't be able to play online, because you need the patch. But if it's a single-player game, yeah, you could play them without the patch. You could play Elden Ring without patching it, It's just that you won't have the online connection with it. Same with Devil May Cry 5. Same with all these other games. And this was like, so you could play the game without the patch? Huh? Oh my god, this guy loves gaming. By the way, he loves it.
Weird, because most games don't, but this one does. And they noticed something. This is day one patch censors the game. It takes gore out.
I read somewhere though that the gore didn't really change. It was just that people were like taking pictures of it in a different performance mode that reduces the blood. But I didn't check it because I don't remember what setting I'm on. I think I'm on balance. I want to say, but whatever. I mean, there's still blood, and I think having blood is better than having no blood, in my opinion. But my stance on the censorship thing, I don't think it should have been censored. I don't really get why it was. A lot of people are saying it's because of Sony's, because it's I think to a degree it might just be market or like locations where like they were getting a little bit like antsy or they weren't like happy with the amount of games they were selling, so they were trying to have a wider appeal, so they felt like, okay, we have to censor it, and like we're just gonna do this, and it was too late for them to like do like region specific games with that. I mean, I guess you could say, oh, they can do region specific patches, but I don't know how patches work. I just know that they'd be approved by Sony, so maybe there's some investment they would need to do that. So it's like, we'll do it. Why it's, I don't know, but I think it might just be them just caving into other regions. That's my theory. Again, I don't think we'll ever really know. The developer did say like, oh, we intended this patch or whatever the fuck, and it's like you can look at that either way. Because cynically you could say, well, he's not gonna just tell you straight up, the truth. He's gonna say this stuff for PR, whatever. At the same time, in the same breath, he could be telling the truth. It's just that who do you listen to? You know what I mean? Like it's a difficult position. But yeah, I don't agree that it got censored. I think the game is fun regardless. Again, it's the same kind of thing with Skullgirls, where I got it for the gameplay. So the things that got censored doesn't affect me because I don't give a fuck about this. But I do get why people are upset about it. So I don't necessarily think people are in the wrong for being upset about it. But at the same time, I think, whatever. You can do what you want. If you want to get a refund, I saw people like posting refunds and mocking people who got refunded for this game. I don't care. I think you should get a refund for any game you buy anyway, and just off a principle. So then, for people getting refunds for this game, I think that's fine. That's their choice. Because guess what? People should have the right to have a refund. So there you go. As long as it's within like the Steam page has. As long as you didn't play over 2 hours within 14 days. I think that's fair. Because you should definitely know by 2 hours if you like the game or not. So I do agree. So I think that them getting refunds is fine. They should offer it. I think getting a refund for this game is fair. So there you go. That's my little stance on that.
More clothes the protagonist.
So DSP can play it now.
They literally.
So then DSP could play it now, correct? So I got it. If you look at it, tell him DSP can now play the game. It's Phil friendly now.
Said just a couple days prior, worldwide release.
I will say I thought that article about uncensored, I thought was a little sus, in my opinion, because there were uncensored games that released and they didn't need to like make a statement about it. They just released their game. I think, whatever. I mean, whatever.
No censorship. Every version is the same. What the hell is this?
Well, technically, they're telling the truth. They released the game uncensored, and then they patched all the versions, so they're all the same regardless, with and without the patch. You know what I mean?
So immediately people start going up in arms saying, wait, what? You promised us one thing, and you literally lied and switched it. We didn't know that was going to be in the day one patch, right? You didn't say it even was. So why would you do that and force that on us, right? So then apparently yesterday, as the internet started to explode in a tizzy about this,
I hate how this dude talks about people being upset. Oh, they're in a tizzy all the time. And this is like, you're talking about other people. You don't know who they are. And he's talking to them like they're fucking babies. Whatever, okay.
Head game dev, and forgive me for not knowing this
And
guy.
then this dude also goes on and on about how gamers should speak up. They should speak up for when they're upset. And then this is how he reports on it. They're in a tizzy about this. My guy, you are the biggest baby who cries the loudest about people should stand their ground and stand up for themselves. And then when they stand up for themselves, you mock them standing up for themselves for something that they believe in. Just because you may or may not agree with them doesn't mean that they don't have the right to do it. I mean, come on.
His name, it's my fault. I should have looked it up and I forgot to. And in an interview, he outright answered everyone, this was our choice. We were not forced into doing this. This is something that we decided to do for ourselves with the game. So don't be angry about anyone but us, because this is our decision to change this game last minute. Despite the fact that just a few days prior, they had outright said no censorship. It's the same worldwide.
Yeah, but they didn't. So okay, let's take the developer at their word. You know, face value. Let's agree with them. Okay, they made that decision on their own. They could have said, "Oh, we're gonna ship it uncensored," then decided later on their own. Oh, you know what? I don't like how these look. Let's just censor this. I don't like how these costumes look. Whatever the fuck. Like, they could make the decision on their own. And DSP, the king of changing his mind, cannot comprehend that the possibility that could happen. That's what I mean. Like, you'll never really know the true story, because even if they're telling the truth, how many people will believe it? You know, like, not a lot of people, whatever. So it's up to you if you believe them or not, and that's, you know, whatever. That's why I think at the end of the day, they should just offer refunds anyway. I mean, again, Sony should offer refunds, period, but you know what? I mean, come on. Come on now, dog.
Okay? So what is that about? So now there's two things happening. Number one, people are beginning all these crazy conspiracies about what's really happening with this game. Okay? And the crazy conspiracy is Sony forced them to do it. That
is always the go-to conspiracy theory, which, you know, I'm not gonna necessarily say that they're wrong. I don't believe Sony would do that to a degree, because they bring up, because you know, the reason why I don't believe it is Devil May Cry 5 released, and they were saying that, oh, Sony made Capcom censor Devil May Cry 5 on the PS5 because that was the only version that was censored at the time when it was released. But I played the Xbox version, by the way, and that's also censored the same way. They did update it though later on, where they removed the intense censorship that the game had on the PlayStation. I think they still censored Lady's ass, I think, but it's not as bright a light. Whatever. I mean, they toned the censorship down a little bit. Whatever. But again, I played the PS4 version, and that's so. I experienced that, and I experienced them also decensoring a little bit of the game. I played it on Xbox, and it's the same censorship there too. So it's like, I think the PC version I think is the best one, because I think you could just mod it out as well. But I that's why I don't think it was Sony that made Capcom do that. I think Capcom did that on their own, because then they were able to patch it out. If Sony wanted to keep it censored, they wouldn't have greenlit the patch, because Sony has to approve all of the patches that a developer wants. So Sony said, no, we want this censored, so we're not patching. We're not gonna approve this patch. That's why I don't really believe a lot of the Sony made them do it. But at the same time, I mean, again, it's, as I said about the developer, you'll never know the true story, because you know you either don't believe them or not. Whatever, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
To do it. That wasn't their intention. That's why just a few days before the game's release, they had outright said that they weren't doing it, and then Sony forced them to do it. Okay? Now, let's say that's the case, right? Why would Sony have forced them to do it last minute but not said anything about it, right? Well, I mean, I think the answer is very clear here. The entire marketing campaign of Stellar Blade has been focused around the uncensored nature of this game. It's gore and
you know, the thing is, like, the sad truth of it all, honestly, it could also be that they probably didn't think this patch was that big of a deal to make a statement about. because like this is gonna sound whatever, but if you look at what was censored, it's I mean, it, it's not like a grave censorship. If that makes sense. Like all they did was kind of like expand the leotard so like her hips are like covered, so it looks like a very like a typical one piece bathing suit kind of thing, kind of deal. Whatever. So someone could make the argument, oh, this censorship is like stupid. It's like tiny, whatever. Like it's so Sony and Shipped Up could have just thought that this is a nothing patch, and they only brought it up because they were asked directly, and that could be what happened. But again, like it's hard in this day and age to take people at their word because there's always interest involved in all this other stuff. So it's kind of believe what you want to believe.
Actuality. That's what the game is selling on. Do you know anyone who's really been discussing, the intricacies of the
Me, I like the gameplay. The gameplay is fun. The only thing is, I do think it's a little wonky. A lot of the movement seems kind of rough. There's a part where you swim and we go through this little door underwater, and it was so hard to get Eve through the door. So that there's some wonkiness there. But even with the combat, it just seems kind of rough. But it's not bad. It it reminds me of a PS3 game. And I mean that in a good way. I don't mean that like in a bad like, oh ew. I mean like it kind of like makes you think of it as a game and not like, oh, I'm playing a movie. You know what I mean?
gameplay and the combat system or whatever? No, here's what I'm seeing on social media. Oh, look, the main character is going up a ladder and we zoom.
This stupid fucking clip like lives in his head rent free. I didn't know this clip until like he started talking about it, where I looked into it and I was like, okay, this is some random guy on Twitter. We're really gonna like pin the entire marketing on a random Twitter guy? What?
On her ass, right?
Like we're kind of blaming the company for how other people look at the game at this point. Like that's kind of what this is. And I also don't think that's fair. Because like what if they talk about the model whatever, but they just want to make a fun game. And that was the whole intent. So they did the censorship. They didn't care, they didn't think much of it because they were just like, "Hey, look, man, we stand behind the gameplay. There you go." And all this stuff. Whatever. I mean, whatever. What if that's the case? But we're gonna blame them for what Billy thought about the game? Whatever. Okay.
And look at this scene. Oh, look, the nearly skin color outfit.
This is just full of a personal bias that this guy has, and it's like about how a character is naked, or there's a skin that makes her look naked. Dude, you're playing another Crab's Treasure where the main character is naked the whole game, to the point where they made a joke about it in the fucking beginning, where they go, "Oh, you can't come in here. You don't have a fucking show. You're fucking walking around naked." And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know, man. This is like, wow, this is the world we live in. Whatever."
Makes her look like she's nude. That's all you're seeing on the internet about this game. You're literally not seeing anything about the substance of the game.
Literally, like this is like the dual-edged sword of Stellar Blade. I'm kind of already over the discourse of it. I kind of like I get this. I get the anti-censorship discourse about it, which is fine. I'm against censorship too. I'm not gonna you know what I mean. Come here. So I get that point, which is why I think people should be able to get refunds, etc. Blah blah blah. But I'm also just tired of hearing about it at this point. It's like the game is out, for like almost a week at this point. Like we don't need to keep talking about it like this. Just get a refund. The one thing though, I will say, I'm gonna this one conspiracy theory that I thought was funny. Someone said, "Oh, so this is." I'm surprised he did not bring up this conspiracy theory that he found on Twitter. This is the one I found on Twitter. This guy said that Sony did this censorship to ruin the sales of Stellar Blade, which is like, and then they did a refund and all this stuff, right? Like they were saying like that Sony kind of sabotaged Stellar Blade because they want people to buy the game, and then they forced them to censor to get people to refund the game, which in my opinion makes no sense. Why would Sony want to do that? Because they probably get a cut of the game sales, so it just doesn't make sense for them to want to do that in that regard, with that intention in mind. But whatever,
Only seeing stuff about the over sexualization of it.
But see,
And
I can find dumb takes and report on it too. It isn't, but I'm not gonna sit there and say this is what all these people think or whatever the fuck. Oh,
I've talked about this over the last couple of months. I'm going to restate what I've said up to this point. The only reason that this game has received hype, that anyone hyped it up and said that, oh, it's a must-have game, it's a must-play game, is because they made that design choice.
but this is kind of like stupid to bring up because what about people like me who bought the game and still played regardless of the censorship? What about people like me, Phil? And I would recommend, so far from what I played, I would recommend Stellar Blade regardless. I think the gameplay is really good for what it is. I like the combat of it. The boss fights are challenging. I kind of was surprised how hard it is. I kind of was expecting a Devil May Cry kind of game, and it's not like, oh my god, this is gonna sound really really cheesy, but it's not it's not from soft hard, but it's kind of close to it. Where if you're not careful, you could die. They have like uh rest areas where if you rest, it respawns enemies. Like it's kind of like that kind of deal. But it's still fun. It's still a fun game. I'm enjoying it so far. So I would recommend it. The gore I don't think it's in a spot that I wouldn't like. I like a nice stylized gore kind of stuff in my shit all the same. But it's not to the point where it's like, oh man, this sucks. But whatever. It's what can you do? You always play it unpatched. I mean, I don't know what else they did with the patch other than that, but
If the main character of Stellar Blade was a roided dude, no one would be talking about this game whatsoever.
that that also doesn't make sense because then how can people talk about Devil May Cry? That has roided dudes. Well, I mean not roided because I mean Dante and Nero are not roided dudes. But I mean there's like this is also kind of lame because there's so many video games with like buff men that sell a lot. So I don't think that's not a good argument in my opinion. I think the game would have probably sold just as well if it was with a dude or a woman. The reason why there's like uh a low ratio of women leads to male leads whatever to men leads whatever is just CEO corporate nonsense where a lot of people who work in the media industry have to kind of fight for a main character to be a woman sometimes, and it's because they find it to be a risk. They're like, no, not a lot of people are gonna give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like it's stuff like that. There's all these things that go into play, which is why like the creation industry, the media industry is a hard one. There's also one with the Green Lantern animated series. When that was being pitched, I was reading this thing about with Bruce Timm, and he was talking about they showed the Green Lantern show to a focus group, and all the kids in the focus group were asking all these questions, like, oh, what's going to happen next? What's this? Oh, man. And all this stuff that was like, them clearly being fascinated with what's going on. The network took that focus test and thought, oh, these kids didn't understand it. That's why they're asking all these questions, so this is not going to be good for them. But it's like, no, they were just genuinely interested. This is stuff that was going to be like woven through the show moving forward that we're obviously not going to just reveal immediately in this little focus test. So there's always decisions like that kind of hamper some projects. So all the stuff that goes into making anything, it's always a fight. There's always a fight along the way because you always have these studios that are so risk averse with it, and it's probably only gonna get worse. But it is what it is. But DSP just can't think that into it because he's not interested. He's not interested in any of this stuff. Like there's stuff you can like look into and read and like kind of follow and see other people's perspectives on things. It's kind of mind opening sometimes. But DSP doesn't want to do that. That requires taking time of his day to read other people's opinions on stuff. He doesn't want to do that. That's dumb. Why would he? He's the guy.
The only reason this game got the hype it did is because they decided to have an over-sexualized female protagonist, right? Most people who were so hype about the game were buying it for that reason.
You said about so any game.
So Sony, well knowing that they want to censor the game, they're not going to announce it early. Why would they? If they said, "Oh, by the way, we're censoring,"
then why would they offer refunds then, Phil? If that's the case, see, that's kind of stupid.
Everyone would cancel their pre-orders.
Whatever.
Everyone would go be up in arms and causing a big controversy around the game. So instead,
but they did it anyway. To me, I just think it's very clear to me. Even let's say Sony did force this change. Let's even go with that. Even then, Sony could still argue that no one's gonna care. This isn't like that significant of a censorship, and they didn't think that people would care. And then it turned out people cared, and there you go. That's where we're at right now. And then people could get refunded. They give people a refund. Like a person tweeted, just say when you want a refund, tell them that it was false marketing or whatever, and they'll grant the refund. Like, you can do that. They give you the option. How did people get refunds then, Phil?
Allowed an actual misinformation campaign to go on the internet about this game. They 100% purposefully designed and allowed it to happen. So that way, everyone would still be hyped for the game and have their orders in. And then they 100% last minute did the bait and switch and did this patch without even telling anyone, hoping that most people wouldn't notice. But we all know about how absolutely positively hyper-focused on minutia the internet gaming community is. And I knew they would find it if it existed. So they found it right away, and now the controversy begins.
I knew they would find it. Dude, it was like not that hard. You could probably find patch notes.
So the question is, how on earth does Shift Up get away with like 2 days before the game's release saying uncensored worldwide release, and then censoring it on release, and then saying, oh, we intended for that? Right?
Things change. I mean, this is the thing. Like, how can they get away with it? They're not getting away with it. No, like, look at what's going on, stupid. But like, it could also just be that they changed their mind during development or nearing release, and then it's like, and they're reaping the repercussions. I mean, shit just happens, and it sucks when it does.
Half of the controversy is that people are saying this is totally on Sony. Sony must have forced this on Shift Up because Shift Up wouldn't have never wanted this for their game. But because they have the Sony exclusive partnership for this distribution on PS5, it must be that they forced it on them. All right, so evil Sony, evil corpos is one half of the controversy.
I mean, the other thing is, I remember I was at PAX East one year. I think it was 2-3 years ago. It was like during the pandemic. I mean, I remember I posted a picture of me with Camilla, and everyone was saying, "Oh no, Theo, no, you're gonna get it, whatever." But anyways, I think the people who did Serious Sam was there, and I asked them like, "Oh, is this gonna be coming to PlayStation? You know, the game looks great and all this other stuff." And they told me like, they would like to, but it's not looking like it because I mean, I don't remember what the exact reason was, but they said like Sony wouldn't let them. Like, it would just it wouldn't get past Sony's standards or whatever. Because I think it was too gory, and it's like, yeah, we did, you know, it's just not gonna fly with them. Which I kind of like. I was a little like, oh, whatever, you know. I was a big Serious Sam guy anyways, so I was like, oh, okay, like I get it, you know. PC, because the other thing is, I've been hearing how it's easier for developers to put a game on Steam than anything else, because that's what happened with Indivisible, Skullgirls, all this stuff. Like, you see, that's why there was all these like patches they were doing, because they didn't need to go through another company to approve their patches. Which is why, like with Indivisible, for example, all the patches that they did for that game came first to Steam, then it came onto consoles later, because it was less work to get that patch up. So it was like, okay, so I at least knew that, you know, they probably would want to do Steam because it's probably easier to just put a game up there and then there you go.
Half is people are like, well, that's it. We were lied to. If that's the case, I'm returning my game. I'm canceling my pre-order. I'm making sure that no one plays this game. We're boycotting Stellar Blade. I'm not kidding you. Yes.
Yeah, these gamer boycotts are going to work
on this internet right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Like the Left 4 Dead boycott, right? Correct?
That are boycotting Stellar Blade because it has a censorship patch from Sony. And there's a big movement on the internet. I'm canceling my PlayStation Plus subscription. Hit them where it hurts, right in the pocketbooks. Make sure they...
Why is this dude mocking this when this fucker wants everyone to boycott Nintendo? Like, this is why I hate... This is, like, as I said earlier in the beginning of this video, the DSPN segments are, like, my favorite and least favorite segments because it is so clear to me how little this dude believes in anything. Oh god, this is also a good screen. But anyways, uh this fucking guy, man. He's like, so people just stop buying Nintendo games. You know, they release a broken Fury console, a broken game. People just stop buying it. They just stand up for themselves, saying we're not buying Nintendo games. Let Nintendo suffer because they did this. They did this. Make them suffer. And there you go. And then like he goes on and on about that. But people want to boycott this because they believe in this, and he's mocking them.
No, we're not going to stand for this censorship. Okay? And that's actually what's happening right now.
Okay.
Now, I have a question for everyone out there. Allow me to dust myself off.
Oh my god. You just know it's gonna be the most narcissistic, egotistical fucking moment when he does this shit. He's like, oh yeah, okay. I got something to say. I love it smell of my fart. Okay, there you go.
Prepare for this one, because now it's time to drop the bomb. All right?
Oh man, keep sucking those dicks, dude.
Are you ready for this?
My god. By the way, I love his little mic. Oh my god. I'm just raking the jackpot here. I'm reaping the rewards. I love that when he claps, it's so fucking goofy. And his ASMR stuff, it doesn't pick it up. Every time he does, I'm gonna drop the bomb. That's what it sounds like sometimes when he does ASMR voice. It's so fucked up. It's great. You know, I went from hating this thing. I mean, technically, it's pretty bad because if he's like just not talking, you'll think the stream died, and then you'll go back and he's just there waddling around in absolute silence. But then you get like little gems where it's like some of the obnoxiousness he does gets censored. It's kind of another dual-edged sword situation.
If people were actually interested in Stellar Blade because it was a good game with good gameplay mechanics, why would they be boycotting it now because of a minor censorship patch?
Because maybe people care about the censorship though. Like maybe they're afraid of the slippery slope. Like this dude, again, he rants and raves begging people to boycott Nintendo when it's like you could argue, well, I don't think anything's wrong with Nintendo. They're making games I like, whatever. But then he'll tell you about the slippery slope Nintendo's gonna do. They're gonna start butt fucking you. Whatever. And then and look at him now. People are boycotting a game because they're afraid of the slippery slope of censorship, and he's like, why do they do it now? Because but like again, and this is the other thing as well. He's looking at this very like this is the other fault of DSPN. He goes into a very loony part of Twitter and just gets his news from that. So you'll see the most fringe nonsense sometimes on Twitter that doesn't even reflect reality, and he just talks about it as if it's real. Like this thing about free Stellar Blade, the Stellar Blade boycott, that kind of stuff. It's like there are people who are just getting refunds, whatever. There's that, and there's like reasonable like discourse about it. I'm not gonna necessarily say that everyone's loony, but then you'll get to the people who are just like they don't go outside their basements, kind of shit. Like it's again, you just read a lot of nonsense on Twitter, which I fucking hate. And this dude always says how bad Twitter is, and he doesn't even know half of it. It's just, man, I go to trends sometimes. If there's something I'm like interested in that's trending, I may go to it, and I'll just see some dumb shit that's like, wow.
The gameplay is exactly the same. The story is exactly the same. All the elements of playing it are exactly the fucking same. So why would you boycott it unless you were buying it for the sexual content? I rest my fucking case.
This dude is so fucking stupid. Like, my god, man. you like you can also be against censorship and still play the game or whatever. I mean, you can have a lot of nuance in your fucking head, whatever. But this dude doesn't understand. Maybe people have principles. They just don't like censorship. I mean, I just like, man, you know, like I had probably someone deep in the Theo lore here. I might realize I said the same fucking shit about Skullgirls, but to a degree though, Skullgirls is a kind of a dead game. There's like triple digits of a player base, like 300 to 400 on a good day, 500 players playing that game at once on Steam. I have heard that each time that they had a Sonic Fox color palette, they did another censorship thing, whatever, and it's like, oh, the game's dead now. It's like, yeah, the game's been dead before, and all this other stuff. And this game is ancient too at this point. And I've seen, and I people want to get a refund. It's like, dude, you could have refunded this game years ago, and all this other stuff. I mean, that's what I think. Like with Skullgirls, I have my opinion. You can be upset with the changes that they made with the game. I'm not saying you can't be upset about that. The thing that I was mostly upset about that I think is a problem with Skullgirls is that they changed the art compendium. The game itself, I think, is a little different in the sense that this game has been around for so long and so, in my opinion, removed from what it was when it first released and all this other stuff. And you can be upset about the changes too, as I said. But at this point, I think the people who are playing the game actively, like right now, last year and the year before, are people who just are into the fighting game, and they may not care that much about the censorship stuff anyway at that point, because they're playing it for this long and they're still playing it now. The Steam charts, I've been keeping an eye on it here and there. It didn't change that much from after the latest censorship patch. They didn't change it at all. The player base didn't change at all. But the art compendium, I think, is a problem because it's a book of art and they are removing pages from it, which I don't agree with. That's like, change the game, because that's at least, if you want, whatever, because that's at least that's going to tournament scenes, whatever. I mean, I can at least kind of like get that. The art compendium is a whole entire book that's supposed to be a complete package of artwork from the game. So that I think is far worse in my opinion. But again, I understand why people were upset about these changes with Skullgirls, especially with all the developer drama with it. But it's like, you know, that's an old game. It's an ancient game at this point. Stellar Blade is a brand new game, and I think that this reaction, to a degree, is warranted. People should be more like concerned about this kind of censorship, you know, and you can scoff at some of it. I mean, again, everyone has their own opinion on it, but it's like, you know, yeah, man. The thing with Skullgirls, the other thing I wanted to bring up, this one dude, I think his name's Grums on Twitter, whatever the fuck. This guy, he was complaining about Skullgirls. I don't believe he played this game at all in a meaningful way. He played the game. I'm not going to say he didn't, but I don't think he played the game in a meaningful amount. I'm a little sus on that. And I was like, yeah, I don't give a fuck what this guy says. This guy probably never played it. Half of these people who are complaining about Skullgirls probably never booted it up since launch. But at least with Stellar Blade, these are people who played the game and have these opinions, as far as for what I can tell.
I was right all along. These tons of fucking people were buying it for that content. They're upset now that the content is censored.
But it's, you know, like, and again, when I did that Skullgirls video, you know, like last year or whatever the fuck, I saw comments, and you know, look, I'm not gonna dog on any of these, anyone who didn't agree, who was against it, because again, I understand the problem. People buy a game and they buy it for a reason, and they like the stuff that's in the game, and to be told we're gonna censor, we're gonna patch it, it's gonna affect people. If you don't care, or if it doesn't affect you, it doesn't affect you. Again, the censorship in Skullgirls to me didn't affect me, because my main and my favorite character was Eliza. She didn't get censored as far as I can tell. The only thing that affected her, though, which I think is a little sad, was her ending painting. It just looks weird. They changed how Philia was tied up because they want to get rid of the BDSM kind of theme that was going on, which I get, because Philia is a minor, or like 16 years old, whatever. But it's like, if they're gonna do that kind of change, they just repeat the whole thing because it just looks way too jarring now from what it is now. You know, like that was my problem with that. It's like, okay, this looks way too like sloppy. Just redraw the ending if you're gonna do that. Uh, but overall it didn't affect me because I still like the game. I still play the game. I still like the DLC characters and all this other stuff. So yeah, the censorship may not have affected me in a very meaningful way, but I can see why people could be turned off by it. The same way with Stellar Blade. This censorship doesn't affect me because I didn't care for the costume that got censored. I didn't give a fuck about any of this other nonsense. I just cared about the gameplay because the gameplay looked fun, and that's what I got. Again, all this stuff, it matters to the people who buy the game. They have all different opinions. And DSP, who's 42 years old, cannot comprehend that reality. Like, dude. Like, this is why, like, when I did that good horny versus bad horny video, I was really happy with the reception because to me, when I see, like, a video like that, do at least, like, it got good comments. I got, likes, whatever, and I saw people like actually engaging with it. It told me that people either understood where I was coming from, or it was just an interesting video. I didn't have to boot up and be like, "Oh my god, is this something stupid?" And then whatever. It was like, it shows to me that I at least am conveying a point that that I'm discussing. But this dude has no leeway in what he's talking about. He has no vision of an argument. Just, I was right. And that's not really a good mindset to go into a video that you want to have a discussion with, you know? And this dude is so all about discussion. But who would want to have a discussion with this? He's sitting there telling you how he was right all along. You're not gonna want to listen to a dude that tells you that they're right all along and all this other stuff when there's all this other nuance to the conversation that's going on about this.
And now they're gonna boycott it. So what were you buying the game for to begin with? Again, I'm not crapping on the game's gameplay elements at all. From what I saw in trailers, it looked good. It reminded me of Bayonetta. It reminded me of whatchamacallit, and some you ever saw that game Vanquish? Reminded me of that. Reminded me
Vanquish,
of
what?
Devil May Cry. With some variations.
Random.
That's
That's
random. A little bit harder than that or whatever, right? Cool. Sounds good to me. Oh, by the way, all anyone's talking about the game is sex content, right? The girl.
Oh my god, this dude, like, yeah, I will agree. Oh no, I'm not gonna say I agree with him, but yeah, the discourse around Stellar Blade can be exhausting. But again, if you live on Twitter and that's all you're gonna eat and consume for discourse, yeah, it's very like annoying. It's the same shit with like Persona 4 discourse, Guilty Gear discourse to it, well, the Bridget discourse. All this stuff is just annoying, and it's like I just want to enjoy the game and enjoy for what I get out of it, etc., etc. And that's it. Yeah, that's why Twitter's lame, which is why I use I don't remember the plugin I have because they added it to Safari now. Where it reverts everything back to Twitter. Like instead of it being X, it's now back to the bird. It gets rid of the trending tab, which is great. I don't have to look at what's trending anymore. It's a fantastic thing. Maybe I can like pull it up here if I click this. It's called oh my god, damn it, doesn't have the name. Oh man. But you can also get rid of Grok. You can get rid of all this other stuff. You can get rid of the Twitter blue icon. It's great. It's fantastic. It's a beautiful plugin. If I remember, I'll put it in the description or something. But it's a great thing, great little thing.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Well, guess what happens, right? Reality slaps everyone in the fucking face.
What?
Reality is, most people were buying this game for the protagonist, and now that the protagonist is censored, they're all pissy about it. All right?
Oh my god, just shut up. They're all pissy about it, man. Okay, sure. I hope that someone does something to a game he's gonna play and something minor and he's gonna complain about it because I can't wait. I can't wait.
I rest my case.
I rest
There would
my
be
case.
zero boycott on this game if people only cared about the actual gameplay elements. They don't. This game could have been a game where you just fucking mash a button and enemies explode into gory balls of whatever.
Oh, you know what? Okay, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck this guy. Because guess what? You could say the same thing about amiibos. Oh, it doesn't matter, man. It's like minor, man. And this dude had such a bug up his ass about amiibos. Every time we talk about Nintendo making a mistake, he brings up amiibos all the time. And it's like the most nothing thing that happened. You can sit there and say that amiibos rule, they drool, they suck, whatever the fuck, and all this other shit. All you want. But these people will sit there and act as if like an amiibo killed his family or some shit. Like, and everyone brings me the Wolf amiibo. He was forced to buy it because he bought Twilight Princess physically, and that game gives you the Wolf amiibo. There's no option. You either get it or you just don't get the game. So it's like, yeah, he was forced. He was forced to buy it, and that's what pissed him off, man.
Brain shooting out of them. I'll use this. They still would have bought it. They bought it for the sexual content. That's what they bought it for. Or else they would have been not pissy about this. They would have. Oh, it's not.
What if they like the art vision, the artistic vision of what the game was, and then they change it? And this dude talked about how like, oh, people just stand up for when they're false marketed to and all this stuff, and so they do that, and now he's like mocking them for. Like, this dude, it's so lame. It's so lame. Because he's literally just like saying, yeah, stand up for what you believe in. Oh, see, you stood up for what you believed in. Porn. Wow. I'm smart. Like, he's like one of that kind of guy. And it's like, dude, shut up. This is like so lame. It's like a trap he wants to set up. Like a fucking lame-ass experiment he did with like he did with his car shit.
Big deal. Well, it's a big deal now, right? Now, do I agree with this practice of what happened? Absolutely not.
If he doesn't agree with it, then it's obviously not a small nothing thing then, correct? Correct? If it doesn't affect you, and you don't agree with it, then fine, whatever. Again, when people are upset about the Skullgirls change, I understood why. And it's like, I have nothing, I don't have an issue with some of these people. I think there's, it's very like case by case with me. There's like some people I feel are just jumping on a bandwagon to hate Skullgirls, for example, because Skullgirls, like, Skullgirls, whatever. But at the end of the day, like in the overall, I understand why the censorship in that game can be is important to people, and I understand that. It doesn't affect me, which is why I still play the game time to time and all this other shit. But I'm not gonna sit here and like do this and all this other stuff. Like I get it, you know what I mean?
I am completely 100% on everyone's side. You were promised a
But you just mocked them. I'm on everyone's side, but these people are into it for the porn. Like, dude, fucking go away.
product. You were advertised a product. You were sold a product. And if that's the product you wanted, and you paid for it willingly because that's what you were told you were getting, and you got something else, and you were lied to about it just a few days beforehand, you absolutely...
This dude literally is like, he's pretty much saying this because it's like, look, I'm just saying he bought it for Gooner reasons, and like, that is stupid, but hey, if that's why you bought it, you have the right to be mad. And it's like, dude, like, you realize, the saying, you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. If you don't like speak up about this, correct? And this is the same guy that says the same thing about Nintendo, by the way. If you let this slip by, they're gonna do something else. That's gonna be crazy and wild sometimes, maybe. Correct? And also, like, that's the other thing I do kind of like. Okay, going back to Skullgirls a little bit. This is why I also understand the argument, especially from the people I talk to, where they're saying like, this is gonna make it harder to buy a new game from that game company who is working on Skullgirls currently. And it's like, I get that, because like, they can sell you a game and they may remove pages of an art book or whatever. So I mean, which I would also argue, just back up the art book all the time. I think I still have the original art book for Skullgirls on my computer somewhere. But anyways, and I get that, and that's why I also said like, look, if they're gonna do these changes, like some of these are like big changes, like Parasol, they got rid of the armband she has, because they don't want reference to Nazis and all this other stuff, which to a point I kind of get, because Parasol is not a villain. She's not an antagonist. She's not meant to be a character that's like evil. She's supposed to be like a good character. So I get that. It's like, okay, I understand. Parasol, you want people to like feel comfortable like playing or whatever. But I do think that these changes would have worked better if it was just in Skullgirls 2. Like, oh, we're redesigning the characters because this changed. Because in Skullgirls, okay, this is a tangent now. In Skullgirls lore, the Parasol's like outfit, the government she's working with are not good people, and they're not evil or whatever, but they're very like shady. So you're supposed to see like there's good in Parasol's family, but there's also very fucked up people in it too. Like there's all this other like stuff about it that's like very corrupted in it. So I was thinking of it like, look, if they do Skullgirls 2, they could totally just have Parasol as be her own character that wants to like overthrow her family because they're fucked up or whatever, and then like whatever, and she could be the redemption arc. Think Fire Lord Zuko type deal in Avatar: The Last Airbender. So that's what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? Like they could have done something like that, and I think it would have worked a lot better and cleaner too, because you're not changing an existing game that people own, etc., etc. So I think that's that would have worked way better than just changing an existing game, which I think they should have just done in the first place. It's impressive that they went back to give more life to Skullgirls, but they could also have done a sequel at this point. But whatever.
Have the right to complain and be upset about it. There's nothing wrong with that. I am on everyone's side here. It's bullshit that they advertise.
He literally just mocked everyone though and said, "Oh, they bought this for this reason."
Like, one way, said that's what it was. Said it was uncensored, and then censored it. That is complete nonsense. That should never happen in any industry, right?
And also, I love that he. You know what? DSP made me remember this other point. He's mocking these people for admitting they bought the game because the character was sexual and all this other shit. But he also just said that they said this thing and then they changed it. Like, they openly stated and bragged about how it was uncensored, and then they censored it. Now, if DSP had a little bit more brain power, I mean, if he was like kind of thinking a little bit longer on this, he would have realized maybe they're also boycotting the idea that they can sell you on anything and then change it after release. Before it was smaller titles, and now it's affecting more titles and all this other stuff, which again is I think that's probably why I went to Skullgirls diatribe a little bit. But that's why I understood why people were also upset about that. I mean, again, it didn't affect me because I still enjoy the game, but I see the concern, and I see the concern with this. But this dude literally was just mocking people for admitting they bought the game for gooner reasons, when they could also be boycotting it just off of the principle that they said one thing and they changed it, and what's to say it's gonna stop with that, right? But again, I mean, and you can argue that it's fear mongering, or it's something that you think that could happen that may not even happen. Again, these are all what ifs and all this other stuff that you may not even know. Like, see, this is the other thing. Like, we don't know the true story of what's going on with Stellar Blade. We don't know if it was a thing within the game developer or with Sony or with anything else. I mean, we'll never really know. And that's what people are like a little bit concerned with, because since we don't know, it's like, what's to say it's not going to happen again with something else?
Saying, oh, we have a new car and it has a brand new feature. I don't know, new brakes, right? Brand new revolutionary brakes. Everyone pre-order the car.
I don't think this is a good comparison, in my opinion. I mean, brakes are pretty important in a car.
So everyone pre-orders the car gets delivered, it doesn't have the brakes. What the fuck? What we bought the car for? It's what you advertised it on, right? How can you then do a bait and switch? You can't. There'd be lawsuits out the ass, right?
Man, he's not really good at making examples.
Well, guess what?
It would make more sense if you said, like, oh, they sold you a car with a paint job that's like purple, and then you buy the car, and then they give you a pink car instead. There you go.
This is a case where there's concrete 100% evidence of misadvertisement. That is false advertising.
So maybe that's what they're boycotting.
Uncensored worldwide just a few days before, and then censored the game.
Hey, Phil. Maybe that's why they're boycotting it. Not because they bought it to jerk off to Eve. Maybe they are boycotting because it said it was uncensored and it's not. Let's not think about this too much.
So if anyone ever wanted to make a statement in the games industry, now would be the time to do a class action lawsuit against them and say this is false advertising and you need to pay for it. Now, I don't know if it will go against Shift Up. I don't know if it will go against Sony. I don't know if it will go against both. But they absolutely have a case for this. In this case, this is concrete evidence that it happened, and that is 100% misrepresentation of the product. And they, at the very least, should offer people refunds. All right. Now, I think it's the stupidest idea ever for a refund. I want a refund because
he just said it's stupid. Oh. I mean, I said that about Skull. Skull is like a 10-year-old game at this point, which is why I think people are asking now for refunds is a little ridiculous because it's like this game has been. But but then again, it's like I get it because they changed it now, but but like if you haven't played it in 10 years or like in 5 years or whatever, I mean that's even above Steam's requirements anyway. I mean it's just a bunch of things there with that. This is a more recent release, so they have an easier time to get a refund for. There you go.
There's it's not sexualized enough for me. Well, listen, I think that's dumb, but at the same time,
but they also censored the blood, DSP. What if that was the reason? But again, what if they just don't like the president of them censoring the game in period? Whatever, okay.
Judgment based on what you wanted. If you didn't get what you wanted, but you were promised it, you have the right to get your money back. And I think people should get their money back if they want it. This is ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd. And you know what's funny, too? It's very funny how the narrative changes. Because up until Friday, everyone on the internet, oh, Stellar Blade, we can't wait for Stellar Blade. It's going to be the best game ever. Stellar Blade. The devs are amazing, guys. Can't wait for this game.
God.
Stellar Blade.
Dude, this dude does the same shit. Look at him at Starfield. Oh my god, this game is gonna be so good. No one's gonna talk about Baldur's Gate 3. They're gonna be talking about Starfield. It's gonna be so good. He plays the game. I want to beat it. I hate this game. This game sucks. Oh my god, it's awful. And he's mocking people for doing that. Oh my god, DSP. Just put your head in a toilet and just not even flush. Just keep the water around and just don't pull your head up. Just keep it in the toilet, okay? I mean, or drink bleach.
And whatever. Now, literally every piece of discourse I see on the internet, fuck Stellar Blade, fuck Sony, fuck this.
Dude, this dude, man. Wow, people were hyped for the game, and then the game had a patch that censored it, and now they're not happy with it. Wow, it's like something happened that made them mad. Whoa.
Fuck the censorship. Fuck this. It just completely flipped on its head. Do you want to know the one thing that absolutely no one has mentioned about the game? The fucking gameplay. No one is talking about if it's good.
Oh man, like dude, you're really cherry picking here. Like, man, I've seen gameplay videos from people who I follow because guess what? I follow people who I interact with. Wow. And the people who I don't interact with that I don't really, like, pay attention to, and when I go out of my way to see, yeah, I'm not surprised they talk about other stuff because, whatever. But there's people who literally... Because the other thing with Twitter is that a lot of it's engagement baiting. That's all it is now. So, of course, there's people going to be like, really passionately upset about this because they want the engagement on their fucking Twitter accounts. And then the people who I follow who post gameplay of the actual game, wow, amazing. It's actually kind of fun. But this dude just wants to focus on this is such a fucking obnoxious news segment. It's just so like I told you so vibes mixed in with like people should get a refund mixed in with like look how dumb people are. Like, dude, go away. I really miss when he just didn't want to talk about it. Can we go back to that, please?
No one is talking about anything in regards to the gameplay experience. There's people out there who wanted to wait for the game.
And then guess what? People told him the gameplay experience, and he was like, I don't really care about it, man. I don't really care about it, man. Oh yeah, wow, man, cool. I don't care. I don't care.
To come out to see if it was good.
People told him, "Oh, Phil, I think it's in your like wheelhouse to play the game." No, man. Like, it's too sexy for me.
And now it's out, and they can't even judge for themselves because no one wants to talk about it. Everyone just wants to talk about the censorship of the sexual content and the gore, because it is also censorship of the gore. Apparently, there was like a ton of gore in the game originally, and they removed it, and people are really upset about this.
Well, they removed it to make the character model pop. You know what I mean?
I think it's absolutely hilariously silly. All right, and I'm curious how overall this game will be received. Did a lot of people actually not buy it? Or, see, the thing is, people didn't know about the censorship patch until the game was out. It wasn't like, oh, you knew the day before. So people pre-ordered it, probably are stuck with it. You know, they can't even refund it. They're just stuck with this game. You can't even get refunds on PS5, right? So
he got a refund on PS5, by the way, but you can't get them, apparently. Okay.
It seems to me like the sales likely will be good, but it was based on a misconception, based on false information, actual literal false advertising campaign. So I'm really interested to see how it will do. Will it actually sell well and be considered a smash hit? Will it just do okay? Will it actually tank? Like, how is it going to do? But again, I just find it hilarious, the discourse and how discourse changes based on a piece of minutia. Again, if the game is sound and good, then that should be what everyone is focusing on.
Yeah, but you know the other thing that's like really ironic from this fucker? He's like, video games are an art form. Oh, they're arts. This and that. But so yeah, okay, if it's an art form, as you say, Philip, then wouldn't censorship be bad? Because censorship of any kind in art would be seen as bad.
Because there was some censorship of this minor piece, which should, okay, let me put it this way. What should have been a minor piece of the game. That sexualization of the character should not have been everyone's main focus.
But the thing is, like, this is why, like, I with this, I understand because it's a costume. See, it doesn't affect me because the costumes that were affected were not costumes I cared that much about. But these were costumes that people would see and, like, play. So, like, with the Hard R store, that being removed is a non-issue because it's like a stupid graffiti sign, and it means, like, nothing. Like, nothing. Just, if they removed it, if they didn't tell you that they removed it and they removed it, you wouldn't care. But this is, like, actual, like, costumes that you're seeing, you're wearing, you're trying to unlock, all this stuff that you're actively, like, interacting with. That's being changed. That does matter. The gore, as I said, it depends on the intensity, I guess. Because I would much rather have some blood than no blood at all, or just having blood that's red and not white. Okay?
Sad that it did become that in social circles. But that's lame. That this game perhaps would have shined if it wasn't the focus, and then we never would have had this controversy. Right? And I think, honestly, I do think that is a very dangerous risk that game devs are taking in the modern era. We have to understand something, okay?
Dude, everything's a risk. Come on, shut up. Like, everything's a risk. The problem is that we're not taking enough risks. Because everyone wants to make a profit. Why do we need games with giant budgets? Why not finance a smaller budget for a smaller game? Like, Shinji Mikami, the guy who left Tango Framework, whatever. There was an interview where he said like he wants to focus on more like smaller budgeted titles so they could release more, but it's smaller budget, smaller team, so it's like a little bit more reasonable, and you can get experience through this, and it's like that's actually a good idea. You get to actually make more stuff that's more experimental and be a cost less, and you're able to do much more. Like, that's like, why not just do that? Like, so many people in this industry, the guy who worked on the movie American Fiction, and I can't remember his name, he said in his Oscar speech, because he won an Oscar, saying that studios should just not oh my god, should just finance smaller movies instead of making these big budget movies where they have to be risk averse. And it's like, yeah, these are good points. Why not just do this? But it's like we have to have these big budgets and all this other stuff. And it's like, if you do a smaller budget, you can have a smaller window of failure, kind of deal.
2024, and we live in a world where a lot of people who are in essentially, hold on, a lot of people who are in power in these companies, in the media in general, are of a certain mindset, right? And it may not even be the mindset that is 100% dominant, but they're the ones in charge, right? So if you're game dev and you decided to make a game that has this kind of content in it, you got to be careful, right? You got to be careful because your game may be a victim of this kind of social media issue. This game could be absolutely outstanding when it comes to the gameplay elements.
Oh my god.
But it may go down in history as the game that lied and gave false advertising and then censored at the last minute. And
but honestly, like, did anyone blame Shift Up though? I mean, people are just saying that said that the developers like were lying for Sony's sake, that Sony was the one that did it or whatever the fuck. Like, whatever.
Think people ever talk about when they mention Stellar Blade. This game may have completely forgotten.
And this debate of censorship in games has been going on for years and years and years and years and years and years at this point. Like, it's like, you know,
ever talks about because of this controversy now. So I think game devs moving forward are going to have to be way more careful.
It just happens. Like these acts as if this is new. Like Tokyo Mirage Sessions had a fucking controversy too about the vagina bones. Now I think it's kind of like, I think it's kind of funny to me. I feel there were probably better issues with Tokyo Mirage Session when they re-released it on Switch that no one really talked about. I don't know because I didn't play the Wii U version. I just know that even the Wii U version had differences amongst regions or whatever. And then when they re-released it on Switch, they gave it a censored version. And I don't know what else they changed. All I remember was this one like anime cutscene where it's like, yeah, instead of using her vagina bones, which I think is just her pelvis, whatever, it's just flat and you just see a little bit like more of the strap of her top, and it's like that change to me is like a nothing change. Like that's like what? Like I had to look like at a glance it looked the same. Then I looked at it against. Oh, it's a little different. Okay, and that was a little ridiculous. But I do think there were more parts. It's just that got more traction because it was so funny to read a guy saying they removed her vagina bones. Like that was like the thing people highlighted because it was funny, but there was other stuff about the game that people didn't talk about, I think. But whatever. The game was also boring, so I'm not gonna necessarily defend it all the way. The game was boring. I may want to go back to it and see if I'll maybe change my mind, but man, I don't know.
They're putting in games and what they're focusing on in games, because you don't want your game to just be a one topic controversy. You want your game to have legs. You want it to be.
But the thing is, you can't really control that. Like that's the thing that DSP doesn't really understand. A game can release, like, let's say let's say that this didn't happen. What's to say there wasn't gonna be any controversy anyway with the game? Like, you can't control the discourse of random people unless you're a fucking monster who can control people, but whatever.
Regarded as a good game by many people.
This is very regarded
for various reasons, right? Some people like a game for its gameplay. Some people like a game for its story. Some people like a game for its art design or its music. And when all those elements come together to be one perfect thing, then those games become legendary.
So he mentions art design, and he doesn't think at all that maybe the horniness of Stellar Blade is an interesting art design that people may like. No, because it's sexualized. I mean, does he really know what bad sexualization is or anything like that? Like, does he know anything at all that's a little bit nuanced? Of course not. This dude's an idiot. Like, man, you could get better discourse out of like a fucking wall than this guy.
This game literally may be forgotten as a footnote in history because it became this big heated
I think it
controversy.
honestly, I think it would have been anyway. I remember, as I said, I remember when this game was released. No one really talked about it that much, and when I did see discourse about it, it was just people saying this game does not look worth $70. Like that's what people were saying at the time. That's what I remember. Now, of course, it's like it's this through the window of what I'm seeing as discourse. Everyone else might have seen something different, but I saw mostly this does not look $70. I ain't buying this. This looks very like a knockoff Nier or whatever the fuck. Like that's all I heard about it. And then then the hype machine started in March, and then here we are. But it's like, come on.
That's not a good thing. What I'm afraid of now, what if game devs in the future now become afraid to do things differently in their games? Everyone must adhere to this list of 20 rules so that this will
Again, this dude mocks these people who was boycotting this game, and then lists reasons why they were boycotting it, or potential reasons, I should say. This dude is so dumb, just to prove that he was right when no one gave a fuck. This dude is so dumb. He's so dumb, and he's like, yeah, I make good points, man, but no one listens to me, man. Why would they listen to you? You're so stupid.
It was out of controversy, right? It's like a checklist. We must do this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and then every game's gonna become the same, and then every game's gonna feel.
Guess what, dudes? He wants games to be the same. He doesn't say it directly, but if you listen to all the games he dislikes and say that how they can improve, he gives all the games the same kind of notes. It needs to be refreshing, different, this and that. Then when a game just wants to be a game, oh, this is archaic. It doesn't like hold up, man. Like he played Fury, and he was like, oh, this game needs checkpoints, and it's like, dude, that's not the design of the game. It's designed in a very unique way where checkpoints would break the game. And he's like, it needs checkpoints, man. Yeah, okay, dude.
Like a dialed in or a paint by numbers effort. You know what every game will be? Starfield. Can you imagine if every game just becomes Starfield?
Oh my god, man.
Would you ever want to play a video game ever again? I think I'd rather just sleep.
Know, it's funny he's saying this when people are already feeling that right now about video games. Like there are people who are just not or losing interest in games and are moving on. And to a degree, I think it's a mix of things. Like, people are getting older, and their interests change, and maybe they're getting less interested in video games. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in people's lives that changes that you change. And it's so funny to me because DSP's been streaming video games for years, and nothing changed for him. It's just stuff ends to a means to an end. Oh, I do DSP Reacts, but he does that for money, and there's nothing genuine about these changes he's doing with his content. But it's like, Listener's Day Off. It's so boring. He does errands. Okay, I mean, whatever. But then, like, what does he watch? YouTubers, reality TV, goes to sleep. Like, there's nothing going on that's engaging to him, and he does it all the time. He plays the same kind of games. He avoids games that he doesn't know. He's playing crabs. He only plays games that, if he plays a different game, it has to be on Game Pass. And all this stuff. If he can't get support, he'll not play it. Someone said, oh, Phil, why don't you play retro games? Well, if I play retro games, you guys have to buy in. Like, dude, why don't you just do it? Like, you're making like $50 on a good day on DSP Throwback as it is. Like, what do you have to lose to playing a retro game you already fucking own, stupid? Like, this dude is so fucking rough.
I'll just sleep. I'd rather be in my bed sleeping than playing Starfield, right? Now imagine if every game becomes that, So
I mean, people said that about Sony games as it is. Like, they all feel the same. And I kind of feel that way too. Like, Horizon Forbidden West kind of was it for me. Like, that kind of just... Man, I liked Horizon Zero Dawn. I love that game. It was fun. I liked the game and all this stuff. But I played that, then God of War Ragnarok. And those two games were just like, man, it's kind of the same setup. You have like this one base Not, and it's not like a base where you're doing base building or anything, but it's a hub for all your characters to go to that you meet along the way. You go back there, you talk to them, and then it's like, okay, now we're all gonna face off at the end or whatever the fuck. And it's like it's the same kind of like vibe, and it's like I don't care, and it just got repetitive, and I just didn't care. And the game got a little more lame too in Forbidden West, but it's like man, and he loves these games. He loves Sony games more than me. And look, you know, I'm not like Mr. Harsh on Sony games either, but it's like but I'm willing to criticize something that I'm playing more than he does, it seems.
You know, I don't even know what else to say. Like, do you really want that? I certainly don't. So I don't know.
Maybe that's why they're boycotting,
in my
Phil.
opinion, this is a bad situation for everyone. It's a bad situation for
That's
the
a
people
bad
who are
situation.
out over the character.
You know what? You know what's funny? He starts this whole thing off saying it's a nothing thing, it's stupid, it's small, it's minor, and now it's a big issue. This dude just talks and talks and talks and talks and doesn't even think about what he's talking about. He forgets what he says. This dude, man, I can understand. You say something like last week and you may forget it. I get that. But this dude says it in the same breath and he'll forget what he said.
Wanted it to be over sexualized. It's a bad situation for people who actually like the gameplay. It's a bad situation for people in general that just like unique games. It's certainly a bad situation for Shift Up. It's a bad situation for Sony. I mean, no one wins here. This is just bad for everyone. How did this happen? How did we even get here?
How did we get here? How did we get here? All right, is that it?
Yeah, I'm shocked, but I just hope it doesn't affect the whole industry. I don't want to see the industry change negatively because of something like this. You know? Anyway, I'll continue to follow the story. I think next is going to be, does Sony say anything about it? Or how does the game actually sell?
Sony honestly probably won't care.
Because what happens is,
it's a small budget game. I don't think
sales rate of people who pre-order the game and are playing it at launch. But now, typically what happens is via word of mouth, you hear more and more people who like the game, and then more people will buy it, right? Like a game like Baldur's Gate 3 sold well at launch, but then sold tremendously over.
As much as I like Solar Blade, I just can't recommend it for $70. Like, even without the controversy, again, as I said, if nothing happened to it, if nothing got censored, whatever, if it stayed the way it was gonna be, I still would not recommend it day one, because it's so far what I've played, it's like I don't see why it was $70. I just don't see it. I could see it for like 60. That should be the highest price, 60. I can see it for 40 or 50. 70 I think is asking a little too much for this kind of game, in my opinion. And it's gonna go on sale anyway, so I mean just get it on sale.
The next 7 months to become a dynamo and then a game of the year, right? A game like Stellar Blade maybe have initial good sales, but then you want to keep those sales rolling. If now the controversy is, oh, it's censored, if no one buys it after launch, it could actually end up being a flop. So,
oh no.
I guess we're gonna have to see. I will follow this story. I will let you guys know.
Oh my god, we're gonna get
what
a potential sequel
and go from there. But yeah, I'm just concerned. I don't want the game industry to now be pussyfooting around, saying the only way that we can ever have our games not be controversial is to have this 20 checklist thing, and then every game is Starfield. Because then I just don't want to play video games anymore. And listen,
yeah,
Stellar Blade's not for me. That doesn't mean I don't understand that it's for some people, or that I don't want games to be different or to take chances or to do new things or different things. I do want that. Just because this particular one isn't for me doesn't mean
this is really the ideal guy. That, you know, these people who on Twitter try to engagement farm and all this stuff, this is their target. They get people like Phil to go on these like little like concern segments. He's so concerned, but he doesn't believe it. He doesn't care. He's gonna play it anyway. He's gonna play games anyway.
Want for gaming and the industry as a whole, and this could be a huge setback.
And this is a dude that said, "Oh, games shouldn't be sexualized. They should be sexualized." And then he's like, "I hope they don't do this again, man." Okay.
So I hope that it doesn't become that. Okay. And that is gaming news. Okay.
Oh, he had to pause it because he had to throw Jasper down the stairs. I mean, hold him by his booty. I mean, I don't know. Pick his nose. I don't know. Let's see what he's doing today.
Someone who is a YouTuber. Do you understand?
Oh God.
The person who I would go to for help would not be a YouTuber. I would go
What?
find a real lawyer who practices all day, every day, and knows the ins and outs of law and would know what to do. I would not go to a YouTuber.
What did I walk into?
I know, it's like, exactly. It's like talking to the wall. This is how these people are. Like,
oh my God, I'm terrified. I'm like going in the last minute, and this dude is talking about like he's shitting on his audience. I don't know what this is. I just want. We had a gaming news segment, y'all. We're doing the gaming segment. Whatever this is, maybe it'll be a video another day. We're doing gamer news because that's what this video is about. Yes, gamer news, my favorite segment of all. Okay, I'll keep this. Maybe this could be used for something. I'm gonna put this on Twitter, and someone's gonna look at it and be like, "I got an idea," and then I'm gonna be happy because it's like someone
it's
used my
time
idea.
for DSP news, and we have a good amount of stories to cover today.
Oh hell yeah!
Please allow me to start talking about those. First off,
I'm so excited.
It is absolutely crazy good news in regards to the
Good
Fallout
news?
TV series.
Oh,
So now it has
man,
been out for over 2 weeks. I think now it's like 16 days, something like that, or something like that. And it has reached over 65 million views on Prime Video in a little over 2 weeks.
And Velma season 2 is in top 5, baby. Velma's gonna get another season.
This is the second most watched
Slam
TV show
dunk
on Prime Video ever. I wonder if you guys know what the most watched show on Prime Video is.
Either The Boys or
It's
Invincible.
the second most watched ever. This is great. No, they weren't anticipating this level of success for the show. It actually has exceeded their expectations of what they wanted the show to do. So they are absolutely stoked.
Man. Yeah, because there's nothing else to watch.
Well it did.
Like, honestly, there's nothing else to watch on Prime at this point.
Some people are guessing. Handmaid's Tale, The Chris Pratt Show, Lord of the Rings,
Handmaid's Tale is fucking Hulu, dude.
Invincible, Rings of Power. The answer is yes, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power did better. However, what people don't realize is that Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power started off strong and actually lost viewership. The real reason Lord of the Rings...
Okay, I do not give a fuck about this.
The season of the Fallout TV show will not retcon the Fallout New Vegas game. The Fallout New Vegas game will be in line with the...
I am so overhearing this. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Dude, they said the same thing. The show comes out. Oh, it retconned. And now they're saying again, the season 2 will retcon New Vegas. My God, man. Oh, man.
On the show.
And this is also, DSP's saying this, but he's like, Todd always lies.
So that's why it takes place after. So whatever you see in the show will be canon. The canon ending of Fallout New Vegas is coming.
Oh, that's late. Oh, okay, you know what? Fuck this show. Honestly, look, I'm not the biggest Fallout fan, but I there's nothing more I hate than when a fucking game just picks an ending and says this is the canon ending. Like, fuck off. Fuck off. Like, man.
In season 2 of
Garbage.
the Fallout TV show.
MGS1 and MGS2 kind of got away with it in the sense that when you save Meryl, it's never really said that, oh, Otacon dies. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you choose Otacon, Meryl definitely dies. So it is kind of like, weird with that. But again, I can let that slide. It's only 2 endings, but as far as I understand, with New Vegas has multiple endings, more than 2.
Yeah, that's going to be huge for Fallout fans. People are definitely going to want to see what was the canon ending.
I wouldn't want to see what the canon ending is. If I like my ending and they told me that my ending's not
Number
canon,
2,
fuck that show.
Todd Howard has hinted at the fact that even though Fallout 5 is nowhere on the horizon, okay, they want, and when I say they mean Bethesda, want more Fallout content and titles to come out faster.
No
In fact,
shit.
he even mentioned like the words fast
They mean
tracking.
Bethesda.
And he's hinting at the fact that since obviously Bethesda is inundated with what they're doing right now with games like the new Elder Scrolls, that they may have other companies work on Fallout instead. I would say
Okay, I do not care.
I mean, like Bethesda games don't
Oh my god, we're still talking
crazy
about
sets
this.
and stuff, you know. I could see it definitely going different ways. And the newest content they have to offer anyone is around 8 to 9 years old to say, hey, go play Fallout. I mean, it's dunce level shit. Todd Howard should be fucking ashamed.
Wait, what?
So anyway, for me, I'm excited. I want more Fallout content. I told you guys how dumb I think it is that they released a TV show that is now a hit, and the newest content they have to offer anyone is around 8 to 9 years old to say, hey, go play Fallout.
Oh, man, I hate this guy, man. This guy goes on and, oh, I don't believe game developers should be crunched. No crunch, man. And they say, they should crunch up because a TV show was released. This dude wants them to make so much money. These guys should milk us better. Fuck off. Fuck off. Like, goddamn, dude.
Dunce level shit.
And then, you know, if they do that, okay, you know what? No, fuck it. I want them to do it. Let's shovel out the Fallout games. And so to the point where they're all unplayable messes, and then these will be, again, saying, they rushed this out. They should have taken their time, man. But then he's like, well, no, see, then they should have just held up on the TV show until Fallout 5 came out. Like, dude, fuck off. You know how these things are made? Like, oh my god, dude, I've never seen anyone sit there and complain that they're not being monetized enough. That they're not being milked enough. Like, dude, the Fallout TV series came out. I didn't see anyone sit there and say, oh man, I wish I could play new Fallout right now. This dude is so fucking, like, lame. This dude is like manufactured to be a fucking slop eater. Like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like, it's like if they dissected his brain, they'll just see like corporate logos on his brain and all this other shit. Like, maybe in reality he wasn't born the normal way. Like, his parents were like, they participated in a human experiment, and it was funded by a secret shadowy tech company that's so shadowy we don't even know the name of it. It's like Apple, Windows combined. Like, they both are working together on this secretly, and they're like, okay, we're gonna form the first ever human that is super duper susceptible and wants to be milked by corporations, and see if that works, and all this other stuff. And we got Phil. Like, holy shit.
Or it should be fucking ashamed that he's running that studio so poorly. That is the dumbest fucking move I've seen. This, I'm sure what's going to end up happening now is they're going to be scrambling and clamoring, oh shit, we got to make Fallout, and we're going to see what happens. You know, I just hope they put it into competent hands, because here's the problem with this. If they put it into the wrong hands...
No, they should put it in the wrong hands. You wanted more Fallout content, Phil. You have no right to complain. What kind? You slop it up. And the
Fallout game that comes out is a rushed, botch job piece of crap, then there's no point. You know what I'm saying?
Eat the slop. Eat it.
Why put out a piece of dog shit instead of nothing? I'd rather have nothing than dog shit. Honestly, I'll just play the old games like I'm doing now. I'll go back. I'll play Fallout 3 again or whatever. I'd rather play good ones than a rushed piece of crap that now is going to make the series look bad, right?
Well, this is what you wanted, Phil.
Okay. Continuing on. Listen to this one.
Okay.
Tell me if this story makes any sense to you.
Oh boy.
Does anyone know
I'm excited.
The arcade chain Dave & Buster's? Well, if you don't know what it is, at least I know it's in the United States. I don't know if it's outside of the US, like maybe Canada or something.
They're going to
an adult arcade line.
On arcades.
You go there. There's a whole bunch of video games.
Which is kind of interesting. It's an interesting venture. I'll give them that.
Also, there's a bar. There's a full sit-down restaurant with food and drinks, and it's meant to be like, you can take the whole family there, but really it's for adults to go and have a drink and go on like a date or whatever and have a good time. Okay? So
do you take Leanna to Dave & Buster's?
Just listen to this story.
Listen to this. Listen to this. Get a load of this.
They have announced customers can now make friendly wagers on the...
Guys, remember when he did wagers with channel points? Dude, we're doing wagers? Oh, man. Can I get a knife kill? All right, let's see, man. And now Dave & Buster's took his idea and he's like, oh, God. Oh, God. He's gonna say he gave Dave & Buster's the idea. Dave & Buster's got the idea from me.
Games at Dave & Buster's. So, for example, you can make a $5 bet on a game of Hot Shots basketball, or a bet on a skee ball competition, or playing an arcade game.
Okay.
What?
Why?
What does that even? What?
Why is he confused? People do that. We're probably doing that before David Buzzard's officially sanctioned it. Oh my god.
So you're in Dave & Buster's, and you see some guy playing the basketball. You walk up and say, "Hey man, I bet I'm better at that than you. I bet you $5 that I'll sink more hoops than you." And he goes, "Let's do it." And you start shooting, and whoever wins, wins $5 from the other person or whatever.
Okay.
Right? And I say, "Well, what are you talking about?" Well, for those who don't know, Dave & Buster's has a virtual card system. In fact, most arcades these days have virtual card systems.
Okay.
Have credits on there that you...
Okay.
First of all, who's to say that this kind of thing doesn't happen anyway?
So
just with real
why are
money?
you confused?
Like, if you actually wanted to, like...
Dave & Buster's is doing this just so that they could get a profit on it. Because they're probably saying, "Oh, you could do it with our Buster cards or whatever." Yeah, they're probably doing it to get more people to be involved.
Someone, wouldn't you say, "Hey, I bet you $5 I'll shoot more than you," and then you play and you're like, "Okay, here's $5 you won," or "All right, give me $5 I won."
Because the other thing, it can also reach out to other people who are spectating.
I guess the thing is enforcement. Like, if it's just two idiots doing it, and then someone says, "Well, I'm not paying," and they can just walk away and there's nothing there. I guess you could meet them in the parking lot, beat them up, and take the money. But I don't think that Dave & Buster's would have any involvement in that. You know what I'm saying? But
okay.
But for me, like, when I hear this, it's like,
come on, turn it
so let me get
negative.
this straight.
Let's make it negative, baby.
You are now going to take a casual environment that's meant to be
Oh my
like,
god, here we go.
Have some food, just play games casually. Yeah, every once in a while you have a competition against your friend. Oh, who's better at skee ball? But now you're going to actually have money involved. Now you might say, "Well, it's not money, it's the credits." It's still a currency that you have purchased.
But
it may be...
Dude, you don't want to go down this road. You don't, Mr. Channel Point Wager Man. He literally did wagers. There was also a time he did wagers on if he was gonna get the vest on. And he's like, "Oh man, these people are taking a chill environment and adding this, and this is all optional. You don't have to do this." This dude is acting as if Dave & Buster's came to them and said, "Okay, you all have to do wagers. If you don't do wagers, we're gonna kill you." But it's like, no, you don't have to do it, Phil. You can just go there and relax.
Digital currency that only has value at Dave & Buster's, but it's still currency. You see? I think that's how they're going to skirt it. They're going to say, "Oh, it's not gambling, because if it were gambling, it would be for real money that you can cash out." Well, you can't cash out at Dave & Buster's. Your money that you spend there, you've permanently spent there. All you're doing is transferring credits around accounts. So I think this is how they're actually going to skirt gambling laws, because you may not realize
like this, Twitch, right? Where they had channel points and you could do wagers on channel points. He also did wagers on YouTube too, but we don't talk about that apparently.
There are very strict laws.
No, it's bounties, not wagers.
When it comes to gambling in the United States.
Don't want to confuse
Anything
those
where there's
two.
a prize or actual money that changes hands has to be supervised. You have to make sure that it's fair, that people aren't getting ripped off, right?
This is wild. This is a wild segment.
Man, can you imagine that? If there was, like, if Dave & Buster's was skimming, let's say, for example...
Okay, we're talking about
gambling. But because it's digital and it's the in-store currency, I actually think...
Yeah, that's why YouTube and Twitch have super chats and cheers, buddy.
That it's going to be different. Like, they're going to say, "Oh, that's how it skirts the law, and therefore it doesn't need to be regulated," right? But let's be honest here.
Let's be honest. Oh my god.
When you have a legalized gambling...
This dude is acting as if that now that they did this, we're going to see, like, it's going to become a madhouse. Like, dude, come on.
To happen? Okay.
He's the only one that's finding the negative.
Here's what I see. A lot of problems. And here's why I see that.
Okay, what's the problem?
This place, Dave & Buster's, is not known as a serious place. People go there and they booze it up. Like, they'll go there, they'll hit the bar, they'll start drinking.
Oh my god.
And then they go play games all buzzed or drunk, which is fine as long as you're doing it responsibly. But now you're going to interject gambling into the mix?
This is so
essentially what you're saying is go there, beat your...
So he thinks that these people are going to start to get violent and start riots over fucking currency. Dude, you don't have to do that to get drunks to do fucked up shit. Because if that was the case, then how do you have bar fights? Because they have billiard tables, you can play pool at the bar, so that must mean that that's why you're having bar fights, right? Like, come on. Oh my god, it's fucking fly. Please tell me I got it. I saw it flying near my water, and now I don't know where it went. Whatever.
Responsible.
He's on
Spend
notice.
all your money, right? Drink up a storm, get drunk, and then gamble against people in these games, lose a ton, and lose all your money, all your credits that you spent. Like,
okay.
To me, all I see is problems. I can just imagine.
So the problem he's saying is that they're gonna get drunk and spend all the currency, and then they'll have to go and buy more. Wow, you're telling me a store wants you to spend more money in their business? Wow.
Now you're gonna hear stories of giant fights breaking out at Dave and Buster between people who were gambling and got pissed with each other.
Dude, you got fights in Dave and Buster's without that though. Drunks can get into fights without any other thing if they're drunk enough, stupid.
Cheatedness, and they start fist fights and
whatever
shit because it's actually the money or credits on the line.
This dude is fear-mongering. He's fear-mongering something that may not even happen, or could have happened anyway. But we should all treat us like we're all like stupid people who need to be in like helmets. Like, dude, shut up. You need to be in a helmet.
Get out. But still, that's money we're gonna spend.
Yet again,
there. Imagine
funny that another news segment that's turned negatively. Man, and it's full of nonsense. Just as I like my news.
And you get buzzed, and you now play 5 games of skee-ball against.
Imagine you turn on the news station and they're just doing this shit to you. You're gonna be so annoyed and you're gonna hate life. You're just gonna hate life. They'll make you violent. Not the beer, not the game. The fucking news. You're gonna be like, this guy needs to shut the fuck up, and you're gonna do some crazy shit.
Guy, and you lose all the money you were supposed to spend on the date. You gambled it all away, and now you can't even have your date.
My guy, if you're on a date and you're just getting super drunk to the point you're just spending money and you're not paying attention to your date, I don't think you wasting money is the problem with that one.
What the fuck's wrong with you? You see what I'm saying? Like, what? It's kind of changing the entire notion of what Dave and Buster's is supposed to be.
Dude,
again, I'm not saying that there weren't.
Dude, this dude is so stupid. This dude has my God, I cannot believe how dumb this guy is. I'm floored. I've been going on for 2 hours. This is gonna be a 3-hour video at this rate. I'm just surprised. I am surprised what I'm looking at. This is another good case. It's just, dude, this dude is sitting there like, guys, if this happens, people can waste their money. They're gonna go on dates and then they're gonna spend all their money and then have nothing on their date. Okay, I mean, I could get shot if I go out on a date. Should I not go out on a date? What if I go on a date and then, after that, my girlfriend gets mugged? I guess I should have taken her out, right? Like, I don't know. Like, this is just weird nonsense.
At places like this, but it was never meant to be serious.
But you don't have to do that. That's the other thing. All this stuff is stuff that they're giving the person an option to do. You don't have to do this. You don't have to participate.
Serious thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, to me, I don't think this is a good idea. I think you're changing the very notion of what Dave and Buster's is. Maybe it's Dave and Buster's is just really on a downswing. I mean, let's be honest.
You know what? When DSP did wagers on Twitch, I did kind of notice the chill environment was leaving his streams. It wasn't very chill. And his chat was starting fights with each other. They were getting drunk, and then they were, threatening each other with doxings and stuff, man. It was crazy. I was afraid of what was gonna happen in DSP's chat, that he did channel wagers, right? Correct, guys. Do you remember that? It was terrifying. We had, who was there at the time? I don't even remember. It was that scary.
COVID affected a lot of stuff in a really negative way, and maybe a brick and mortar business.
And now we're talking about COVID. Okay.
More information about this, I'll follow it. But it was just such a weird announcement. Who would have thought that they would start actual official gambling at a?
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
Let's continue. Game
Oh
Pass.
my god, there's more. Oh god, Game Pass.
Update on Game Pass. Here's the Game Pass
Uh-oh.
games that are hitting Game Pass in early
Okay.
May for those who are interested who have Game
Let's see how many games he's gonna give a fuck about, right?
Pass like me.
Or be fair to, because there's been so many Game Pass updates where it's like, hey, wait, what's in the Game Pass? A Bubble Buddy. Yeah, everything care about Bubble Buddy. Okay, and then Doorman. Okay, sure, cool, whatever, man. Okay, that's Game Pass.
Today, April 30th,
Today.
Have a Nice Death. I have no idea what that game is.
Oh, that's
but
a good
it's out
game.
today.
I played
Okay.
a little bit. It's kind of good.
May 2nd, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. Now, wait a minute. Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. Is this not what you guys were telling me to play just a few months ago? Is this not the modern remake of Tomb Raider? It's the classic games.
Oh my god,
remade
dude!
for modern
You
audience?
couldn't research it. They put the box art. You could go to whatever Twitter account, post these stupid ass fucking Game Pass shit, and you could say, "Oh, it's this." But no, this dude is like confused because he's a stupid baby.
Right? I don't know.
Oh
but if
my
it is,
God.
I mean, that's
look at the news. If it's not negative, it's just confusion. Just general confusion. This is news. This is professional news. I love turning on the news and I was like, so today, apparently, Bank of America, like, is it Bank of America or is it like Webster Bank? Well, I guess Bank of America, I guess, decided that they were gonna get. They didn't decide. Wait, no, okay. Some guy came into Bank of America, I guess, and I guess it was during the day, and then like he was like, "Sir, I want your money," and everyone was like, "What?" And then like, they were like, "Do you have an account, sir?" And then he's like, "Get a load of this," and he pulls out a gun, and he was like, "Give me your money," and then they just gave it to him, and then like. I guess they called the cops. Did they call the cops, Jane? I guess they called the cops. And then, like, the cops came, and then, like, they left it. And I'm thinking, think like a sandwich shop, right? You're running a sandwich shop, and a guy comes in and tries to get a free sandwich. That's not right. They can go there and get. I would be like, sir, you have to pay for that. And this guy was getting money, and he didn't have an account. Where's the checks and balances? It seems like Bank of America is not very well protected, man. Like, dude, you would just like turn off the TV or just laugh at the news.
Interesting, because it just came out a few months ago, and I didn't play it. Maybe I would eventually play it via this rather than spend money on it.
Yeah, why spend money on games?
But I'm not sure if that's what Definitive Edition is. Tomb Raider Definitive Edition.
Why not look it up? You have your fucking phone. You have a laptop. You have technology.
I have no idea what the hell that is.
I don't know what that is.
All right.
Why have these segments if you don't know anything? Why talk about these games if he doesn't even know what they are? Dude, I'm like losing it. I'm losing it. This is what happens when you binge watch fucking DSPN. You just get fucking violent. This is, you know, he talked about Dave & Buster's is inviting danger. This is dangerous. This is dangerous content.
9th of May, Little Kitty Big City. Now, if you don't know what Little Kitty...
Okay, I don't give a fuck. Fuck that game.
Silly things that they do.
Oh my god,
Brothers of Tale of Two Sons is going to be on Game Pass.
Oh my god.
What's weird about that is, did they not just release this game remade or remastered?
Oh, okay.
I loved it. Not only
yeah, he loved it. Yeah,
okay?
I'm sure he did. Okay.
Cool. 2 more stories.
Oh my god, it's not over.
Story number 1. Xbox is going to...
Oh my god, that fucking delivery. I'm going crazy.
They have a major showcase coming up of their content. It is coming up Sunday, June 9th.
Oh, we could do a DS3X on it, right?
10 a.m. Pacific time.
Oh, no, too early.
This is the big one. This is the one that they do once a year. This is their replacement for the E3 show. All right? And so they are going to be showing off tons of things from Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, and Xbox Game Studios. And probably in one of the lamest attempts that I've ever seen.
Here we go, negative.
Hype for something.
Yes.
What they decided to do was show a poster that says, "It's time for the Redacted Direct." The what? So it shows a logo.
Dude.
And then obviously there's a name, and
guess what? He fucking sits there and always says, "So they're doing their own kind of direct?"
blocked it off with a black line of like marker, and then down here it says something direct, and that's crossed off with a black line of marker, and then it says from developer, and they crossed off that too. But it's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You could just all you need to do is squint, and you can tell it says Call of Duty. So
okay,
a bunch of idiots sitting in a boardroom.
They're hyping Call of Duty. I'm so surprised. Dude, okay.
Creative thing. We'll block the title out and we'll just call it the redacted direct, and they won't know what it is till the actual direct starts. No, you idiots. We already know it's Call of Duty. You can tell from the logo. You can tell from the text.
Dude. Wow, you figured it out, Phil. Oh my god, he's so smart, guys. He's a genius.
Even block all the text.
Shit.
It's definitely Call of Duty.
Man, I love DSPN. It's such a good fucking segment.
So out of touch. So anyway, what it looks like, it's a Call of Duty Black Ops game. Okay, this year it looks like it's going to be Black Ops' turn to come back into the fray after like 7 years of Modern Warfare. So anyway, mark your calendars. All right. In fact, I'm going to put it into my calendar right now. We are already
hyping this game up, by the way. We're hyping up Call of Duty. And this dude mocks people for buying these games, by the way. Great hair, by the way. This is a good hairstyle. To just have a chunk go this way and then that way. Why? Oh. And they have random strays here.
June 9th.
Like, dude, just do something else. Dude, this is a good angle. This is a great angle. He couldn't do this before. He had to do it on the show, so we have him looking at his dick the whole time. This is what we all tune into.
10 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay. Are you sure we'll be able to catch it?
Yeah, I'm probably going to cover it. Because there is no E3 anymore or anything like that. I will likely cover it.
Like you've always been.
Meaning we'll probably watch it together live on the React channel.
I thought no one cared about that.
I'll probably do a recap reaction.
Now we'll do a recap reaction. Remember when he said that was stupid?
Which means, of course, that will throw off my week because I do.
Okay.
But yes, there will be probably a live react to that event.
And then we're going to definitely complain about it too.
Okay?
We are thrown off by this.
Cool.
Whatever. Like, who cares?
Last story.
Oh my god, last story.
Of the day. And then we can get to shout-outs and some Q&A interaction.
It's still not over.
You ready for this?
Square Enix. I don't know. Oh my god, it's this story. I saw this on Twitter earlier. I knew he was going to do it because he's going to turn this into shitting on Final Fantasy. I guarantee it. And I was reading another person who knew what the story was, and it was just talking about them dropping mobile games, by the way. Like, for whatever reason.
Expected to recognize a 22.1 billion yen loss in content abandonment. What that means is that they had a board meeting on March 27th, and the board of directors voted to revise the group's approach to development of high-definition games.
Oh my god, Safari's fucking up. Thank god. Hold on, I'll have to figure this out. Alright, back, guys. I figured it out. I always have to do this now. This is the new normal.
Worth of investment that they already had into games. They're just dropping certain games that they were working on. What games? They haven't said. There's a lot of speculation about this. If you take a look at social media and people chatting about it, a lot of people seem to be thinking that this is massively going to affect games as a service and things like that. Because apparently Square Enix was actually investing quite a lot of money into games as a service, and now they have no actual confidence in it. Other speculation is that a lot of people are saying this is Square Enix's fault because if you take a look at the games that they've been releasing, they keep making them exclusives. For example, Octopath Traveler.
See, this is wrong. This isn't about fucking the video games that were released. This is about the mobile games. It's mobile games.
Switch exclusive. Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, PS5 exclusive. And by making everything exclusive.
These are mobile games that they're being dropped, not this. This is about them dropping games for no reason, just for whatever reason. They're dropping mobile games. They're not supporting them anymore. It has nothing to do with these console games. But this dude can't help himself because he needs to shit on Final Fantasy. He needs to. It's like an urge.
They keep shooting themselves in the foot because they're not appealing to the broad market, only to a select group. And it doesn't make sense. With their games, they should be trying to go out there and reach as many as possible.
Octopath Traveler is on every platform, though. It wasn't an exclusive. And and the Switch was a highly successful console.
Play on every platform,
Whatever.
and
He's
it's not
being
working.
stupid again.
But you know what's funny about that? All right, I'm just gonna make this comment. Did you play Final Fantasy 16? Did you notice that the game did not perform well on the console graphically? It did not. Many times the graphics would chop up, the frame rate would be low. Even no matter what mode you had.
We get it. You hate Final Fantasy.
You imagine them trying to get that to work on the Series S, right?
Dude, it could probably run this. Whatever.
I hate to say it. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, things are not like it used to be.
It'd be great if someone in chat told them that it was about them abandoning mobile
like
games.
The game developers had ideas.
It's mobile games. It's mobile games.
So therefore, the things didn't run well or whatever. Man, no, I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that the hardware we're using is fine, as evidenced by the fact that there are many games that run beautifully, 1080p, 60 frames, tons of detail. But then all of a sudden, you get a game like 16 that doesn't. Like, well, what happened? Why is the frame rate chopped?
Get a load of this guy. Get a load of this fucker.
It's the game devs. I hate to say it. I don't think that the quality of game development today is as good as it used to be. And I think a lot of the fact has to do with the way that they develop games, the time frames they're forced to work to, the milestones they're forced to hit.
This story is relating to Square just ending service and abandoning their mobile games for whatever reason. Or for no reason. I think it's for no reason that they just ended it. And they're doing this because it's like, well, we have to explain why these are abandoned or whatever. Which is why it's a loss. But this guy just doesn't understand.
Wedge into the game that management wants them to have in there that probably bloats the game and makes it fucked up. I just hate that fact, but I think it's true. I don't think that we're seeing the level of expertise and mastery of the form of game development anymore, because that model doesn't even exist. The companies like Square Enix probably doesn't even want their game devs to be that good to be able to make those masterpieces. You know what I'm saying? They just want the game to pump out and make them profit. So they lose everything else in the mix in the process. You know, you can't have a situation where you're trying to get people to rush out new games, right? But then expect those games to be amazing and perform well.
Maybe he's going to say all of this, and at the end, someone's going to correct him, and he's going to be like, oh, it's about that? Okay, but I still stand by what I said.
Run much better or whatever. I mean, I remember when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out a few months ago, people were strongly criticizing the graphics, saying, why did the graphics look blurry and pixelated? Because that's the corner they had to cut. The game actually has a variable frame rate so that it will run.
It didn't look
the amount of detail they put into it and all the things going on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, whatever.
And people don't like that. We want it to look good. We don't get it. We spent all this money on this fucking hardware. And you can't get the games to run good. What is going on in the modern era? And it's just truthful. When a game used to come out, used to be they made their maximum effort to make that game shine.
He defended the fucking. By the way, as he's saying this, he defended Callisto Protocol when that was a buggy piece of shit. By the way, let's keep that in mind when he goes on these little rants.
You know, they're choppy as fuck. They got tons of bugs.
He defended a lot of game that ran like shit in the past, and now he's like saying we should not accept this, man.
And then you expect that people are gonna care? Like, what did you think would happen?
What do you think would happen?
The last several years have not been very smart. The choices they made with putting them on a certain console. Final Fantasy 16, as much as they want to tout that it was a sales dynamo, it was not.
They didn't plan on doing DLC for Final Fantasy 16, and they ended up doing DLC for Final Fantasy 16. Like, explain that to me, buddy.
Oh, it did live up to our expectations. Okay, so your expectations were that it.
Oh my god!
As much as they want to tout that it was a sales dynamo, it was not. They just said, "Oh, it did."
It wasn't as
live up to our expectations.
It didn't live up to our expectations.
Okay. So your expectations were that it wasn't going to sell as well as other blockbusters. What does that mean? You know,
maybe they had reasonable expectations for their game. Think of that. This dude goes on and about how developers should have, or publishers, whatever the fuck, should have reasonable expectations for their games. Square did that for 16, and he's like mocking them that they had reasonable expectations.
They kind of screwed up with the direction that they went with their games for the last several years.
How dare they be happy with what they got, right?
And it sucks. Like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a fine game in my opinion, and it has undersold. It has absolutely undersold.
Yeah, you wanna know why? Because maybe people wanted Final Fantasy VII Remake, not this like pseudo sequel game. Did you ever think of that? Like, man, And you'd think he'd understand that after playing Final Fantasy VII Remake and saying the same thing.
The game is a huge sales failure for them. They were expecting this to be their big one for this year, and it has not performed anywhere near what they had wanted it to be. And why is that? Is it because it's a second in a row PlayStation 5 exclusive? You can only play Final Fantasy
I
on
just think
PlayStation
it's
right
not
now?
a one-to-one remake
because
to Final Fantasy VII. It's
it
that
released
easy.
in the middle of an insane amount of
Okay,
game, and then right
I'm not.
after it was Dragon's Dogma 2.
I'm not listening to this fucking
Like, what is the
RPG
reason?
overload
Because
bullshit.
Remake was a humongous success for them. Coming off of the
Yeah, but they bought the game before they beat it, where it was like not the same game.
heels of a huge success, it makes
Oh
no
my
sense
God,
the
who the
sequel would
fuck's
then
calling?
be a failure. So what happened there,
Oh,
right? And I think that's what they have to do is they have
Shut
to
up.
start looking at those kind of factors and figure out where are they going
You should
wrong.
look at how
you
to
know?
end your fucking stream, buddy.
Because when you are scrapping $120 million of investment into games, you're just saying, fuck those games. We're not making them anymore.
Again, these are about mobile games. Mobile games.
That's bad. That just shows really bad management, that their leadership doesn't know what they're doing. They're focusing on the wrong games and wrong titles, and they need to right the shit. I hope they do. I like Square Enix games. I don't want to see Square Enix go under because they keep fucking up.
Rebirth and decided not to go back to it.
They've already sold off a bunch of their IPs, and now I want to see them in the future succeed and get better. I don't want to see them crash and burn. So I certainly hope that doesn't happen. Okay? All right, guys, that was a lot of game news. I told you we had a lot today.
Man, that was trash.
And there we go. We're finally done with it. So now is YouTube side partying with all of you. So enjoy the pittance, Phil.
Enjoy the pittance.
Talking to an audience, hanging out, and playing games.
Oh boy, what was this?
I'm excited to spend the day with all of you. So thank you so much. We had someone named Proxy Land Giraffe who did a super chat that I guess is supposed to be an insult, but I don't even understand it. Just listen. Shout out to Atlas. Enjoy.
Shout out to Atlas.
The pittance, Phil.
Enjoy the pittance. I guess this is an insult.
All right. Shout out to Atlas. Okay. Shout out
to Atlas. I mean, I get. Well, technically, is Atlas the bookkeeper or is it Atlas the company? Because he didn't make Persona 3 Reloaded, which he's scared to
Atlas,
play.
They make fine games. Enjoy the pittance, Phil. You paid me and then called it pittance.
I mean, he did. Well, honestly, DSP does call a lot of the money he gets pittance. So, I mean, he can't really. He should agree with him, honestly.
You do realize I make a living doing this, right?
He called doing DSP tries it pittance. And he got 100. And he said that series got him hundreds of dollars, and he called that pittance. By the way,
saying you may think it's pittance. I make a living sitting here in front of a kid.
Yeah.
Life.
Okay. All right.
Dinero did another super chat. Thank you for that, No Tango Dinero. And then Jordan with a super chat saying Stardew Valley. Perhaps.
Okay.
Yes. For now, they probably added so much shit to it and everything. I bet.
Yeah, okay.
Sadly, I have received tons of chargebacks yesterday.
Oh, chargebacks. Oh boy.
That's all I've got for now. They supposedly already have a Fallout 3 redo.
Man, why is he saying redo now?
But
Let's say remake.
I guess we'll see.
Or remaster, whatever it is.
As we get further in, but
Oh,
I would personally love a Fallout 3 remake. I don't know if they would do it. Like, how would they do it? Would they take Fallout 3 and put it in the engine of Fallout 4 or Fallout 76?
Or why not
Would they have a whole new engine?
Oh my god. Okay.
That they could do quickly.
All right.
3 months as a member. Says suggestion box, please. Spoonbox. Spoonbox? We don't have time. It's 12:20.
Yeah, we're not doing suggestion box. Notice how that whole thing is completely dead. I think he said last time it was so backlogged he doesn't want to do it pretty much. Like, that's cool.
The new I knew we were gonna have a lot of news today to go over. It took a while to get through it.
Yeah, but then when there's no gaming news, he just sits there and waddles around.
I received
my
first tip of the day. Embarrassing animation of me dressed as Chun-Li and dancing around.
Oh my god, dude, that's not you.
Thank you so much, Dan. That will help a lot.
This is just
and
my god,
gets us really close to our tier 1 tip.
We can be negative about this, but whatever.
$200 tip animation. $10.
Dan the Man, I think, wants to be the new 1 Minute Man. Honestly, I think that's his future.
I'm feeling a little sad because I'm a fan of Akira Toriyama.
What are you sad
and
about?
$200. We have all of that.
You went from talking about chargebacks to Toriyama. Oh boy.
So there you go.
There you go. I gotta wrap it up.
Okay.
Okay.
I Have No Enemy says he's excited for more Another Crab's Treasure. He downloaded the game on his Series X and he's loving the vibe of it. You know, all his games are great and it's addictive. I'm feeling a little sad because for more Another Crab's Treasure. He downloaded the game on his Series X and he's loving the vibe of it. And he says also he's liking Sandland. It's addictive. I'm feeling a little sad because
No, you don't. No, you don't. Stop lying, dumbass.
I'm a fan of Akira Toriyama.
No, you're not. Liar.
I love his work. You know, all his games are great.
All his games. He skipped Sandland. Okay. He doesn't want to play any more Dragon Ball games.
This Sandland game, I don't hear a single person talking about it.
Huge fan. No one's talking about it. Why would I play it? Yeah, man. I hear you. I love Suda 51, man. But man, no one's talking about No More Heroes 3. I think I'm never gonna go back to it, man. No one's playing it. No one's talking about it. I'm a huge fan though.
Anywhere, and I follow the gaming trends and everything.
No, you don't. Well,
and I think
oh my god,
kind of released at a time when other things are.
This is so lame. If you're a fan, why don't you just play it?
Shadowing it.
No one was talking about Chrono Trigger, and you played that.
Again, people have massive RPG fatigue right now, and the hype things right now are so.
People are so fatigued. Oh my god, I want to mock this guy so bad. This dude is, and he's giving us the sad boy voice. I feel so sad, man. Like, man, I love Toriyama, but no one's talking about Sandland. Everyone's like burnt out on RPGs, man. Like, dude, like, grow up. Just play it. It's a video game.
Fallout is hype. Helldivers 2 is still holding.
Why does everything need to be a fucking hype machine for him? But remember, guys, he doesn't chase the hype. He doesn't slurp on the hype like a bunch of noodles or anything. And yet, he can't play Sandland because he doesn't have a hype wave. This dude is garbage. He's like, dude, you're not a fan of Toriyama if this is what you think.
Strong. And I feel like it just kind of, it's for a niche audience and maybe they're enjoying it.
A niche audience. Okay.
But man, I hear nothing about this game. And it's been out, for a few days now? I haven't seen anyone really covering it or talking about it or anything. So I hope that doesn't end up being a forgotten game, especially because Mr. Toriyama has passed away. And
oh my god! Now I want people to like. Oh my god, dude! Oh my god, man! Oh man! I hope no one forgets about it. He did pass away, dude. This is disgusting. This is disgusting. To use a man's death like this, that we should all be playing because he died. Like, fuck off. People should play it because it's a good game, and if you're a fan of his work, play it for that too. I didn't have to, like, I should play it because he died. Like, that's awful. That's awful. Don't do that shit.
It would have been like his like legacy final game or whatever.
What if it, dude? He made this game when he was alive. He didn't know he was gonna die. Why would he want? Oh my god, this dude needs a fucking drink bleach and some paint.
Oh, let's see here.
Let's see here. Yeah, okay.
What's the most underrated game of all time?
Sandland, right?
Bugsnax.
No, that game sucks ass. Okay, I'm ending it here. I'm if I continue, I'm gonna fucking, I don't know. I'm gonna go Dave and Buster mode on something. Thank you for watching. This was a wild one. I really thought it was gonna be like an hour and some change video. It's a 3-hour video. Because the gaming news segment is fucking awful, and it's toxic. It's a toxic segment that should be quarantined. We should quarantine the gaming segments and have it never be released from quarantine. It's one of those things that's like so dangerous that it cannot be released. You know, like it's very hazardous. But thanks for watching. I hope to see you next time. And man. Oh, the soundboard stopped working! Why? Oh my god, dude, come on. It worked earlier. This is insane. It worked earlier. This is bullshit. This is some bullshit.